Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. Good morning. Oh, there you are. Good morning, DamFam. Good morning, kids and cubs. And hello. And welcome to episode, I believe it is 921, if I am not mistaken. I'm going to have to go take a look at that. I got so excited that the show was coming on that I forgot to check the numbers. No, it is 920, I believe. No, that's I didn't update the show number. It is 921 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. Oh, Canada, always 100% Canadian. And of course, lovely members of the DamFam, Beaverific. Yes, it is. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, he, Mr. Beaver, and not with me, as usual, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. A big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. How is your mental health doing today? I am doing surprisingly well, considering I got very little sleep. After doing the show yesterday, I was really wired and excited. I got a lot of adrenaline off that, almost like when I go on stage. And it took me a long while to come down. So, yeah, I was jazzed up from having done the show last night. So, yes, it was a short night, and of course, it was an early morning because at Roland Garros, the French Open, Gabriela Dabrowski was playing in the mixed doubles final this morning, and it was starting at the ungodly hour of 6 a.m. Eastern time. So I was up to watch that, and the Canadians are breaking my heart. I mean, listen, they've gone deep in the tournament, so I mean, I cannot be upset, but it's just Felix had a path all the way to the final and really good chance to win it, and hit a roadblock named Kaboli, and then Dabrowski was in the final today, and they started out with 4 games in a row. They were up 4-0, and then things started to tighten, but they won the first set, and then the second set was looking like a blowout until they sort of made it a little respectable. And in the mixed doubles, it's a 10-point super tiebreaker in the third set, and that did not go the way I would have wanted it to go. Gabriela Dabrowski played extremely well. She's pretty much the MVP on that court, but her partner was a little bit wild in the hits and the swings, and the match got away from them. So it's a silver medal, second place, just not the win. Ah! And of course, um, in the women's doubles semifinal that she will be playing tomorrow, they are up against the number one team. So if everything goes according to form, looks like it might not be uh, a chance. It might not be a win there. So but that's why you play the game, though. That's why you play the game, to because anything can happen. But it's just like so close, so close. However, on the upside, I got to see Jeannie Bouchard, who was doing some announcing for the match, which was kind of nice. Nice to see her still involved with the sport, even though she's not playing anymore. So, yes, my heart is a little broken because the cup was right there. Was right there. But still, an excellent performance by the Canadians overall here, and not really much to complain about. I just wanted more. Hey, I'm sure Gabriel Dabrowski wanted more too, and I'm sure Felix Auger-Aliassime wanted more. I actually saw a press conference with him. He was it's this people are taking it really hard. I mean, Arina Sabalenka, who was one game away from winning, and then had it slip away. I was sitting there, saying like, on days like that, you feel like you want to quit tennis, which is, you know, I can understand that feeling. There have been a couple times I've been at the curling rink and saying, man, games that have got really bad, and says, maybe this would be my last game. Maybe I should give this up. And then, of course, I always come back. But so I do understand that feeling. I've been there, not on that big a stage, but I've been there. And then if you see Felix Auger-Aliassime was the same thing. He was really despondent and saying, sort of like realizing that he's still not yet the player he wants to be. Still too hot and cold in some big moments, even though he's number 4 player in the world. Right? It just goes to show you can be the number 1 and number 4 player in the world and still have a bad day and not be satisfied and still get completely discouraged with a bad match. So that's going to make me feel a little better next time I go play tennis on the court and I'm with someone. I'm improving and I'm thinking, okay, let's try this and against someone that I've never played before, and I realize that they're like 5 or 6 levels better than I am, and I'm merely target practice for them. Kind of humbles you really quickly. uh, Kid Uncover the News is singing the Little Hobo song here in the chat. There's a voice that keeps on calling me. Down the road is where I'll always be. But yes, like Kit Linda says, still a chance tomorrow with the women's doubles. Need to keep cheering them on. Yes, I have convinced myself that they can hear me all the way from here. So I keep cheering. And I even wore my game day shirt. You're going to love this one. Bring your A game. Oh man. Oh well. There's always the next Grand Slam, and there's always next year. But Vavasori and Irani, defending champions now, and the fourth. They've won 4 of the last 7 mixed doubles Grand Slams. So I mean, they're clearly a thing. But hey, despite the momentary disappointment, I am chipper and happy and raring to go. So let's get into it. Let's see here. Oh, really? Kit Uncover says Seth Rogen is looking to bring back the Littlest Hobo. Oh, yes, please. Oh, you just made my day so much better. Thank you, Kit Uncover. Now that's news I can use. Wow. Oh, that would make me very happy. That would make me very happy. And Kid Bucky giving me a thumbs up on the sartorial choice today because I understand that as your queen, the DamFam demand fashion and glamour, and I am happy to provide it. A queen's work is never done. I'm a giver. I give. I give. That's what I do. Oh man. Wow. And Miss, I'm glad to hear that you're feeling a little better today as well. Um, let's see. Kick on Cover says Crave, Point Grey Pictures, and Lionsgate set The Littlest Hobo as the first project under partnership. Well, you know what? Since you're mentioning it, I'm going to go look it up. That's not how I intended to start the show, but I always have time for The Littlest Hobo. So let's see if there's anything there. Yes, it is. There we go. From the Globe and Mail today. So let's. What do you mean invest? I don't need the thing. Oh, it's in the investment page. Okay. Interesting. It says read more at newswire.ca. So let's go to newswire.ca. This is news provided by Crave. It says, following a previously announced development and production agreement, Crave today revealed the first project to emerge from Bell Media's partnership with Lionsgate Canada and Point Grey Pictures, a live-action drama reimagining of the iconic Canadian television classic The Littlest Hobo. The series is produced by Lionsgate Canada in partnership with Point Grey Pictures, Rose Ushalkas, and Christopher Dew of New Hobo Productions Incorporated and Crave. This marks Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg's first scripted project for the Canadian market under Lionsgate's first look television deal with Point Grey, expanding their multi-year partnership and building on their recent collaboration on The Studio for Apple TV. The series recently completed one of the most dominant awards runs in modern television history, earning 23 Emmy nominations and 13 Emmy Awards, in addition to major wins at the Golden Globe and BAFTA Awards. And I believe Seth Rogen even won a few for his acting and maybe for other things that he's involved with in that show. At least one. It goes on to say The Littlest Hobo represents a new take on the beloved Canadian television series, which originally aired on CTV from 1979 to 1985, starring an extraordinarily intelligent, ownerless German shepherd who wandered from town to town helping people in need. The story has resonated with generations of audiences. The Littlest Hobo was a foundational show of our childhood, and we are thrilled to have the honor of bringing it back for a new generation alongside our partners at Crave. And though the hobo may be little, we promise big things to come. That doesn't mean the dog will be huge like Clifford. The hobo will still be little, but the adventures will be big, said Rogan and Goldberg. The Littlest Hobo is one of the most legendary pieces of Canadian IP, and there is no creative team better suited to reimagine it for a new generation than Seth and Evan, said Justin Stockman, Vice President, Global Content at Bell Media. With bold original storytelling rooted in Canada, this project sits at the heart of everything we set out to accomplish with this partnership. We couldn't be more excited to bring Hobo home to Crave. Quote, we're thrilled to build on our partnership with Point Grey and Bell Media to bring a fresh new take on this beloved property to Canadian audience, said Lionsgate Television Group EVP and Head of Scripted Development Scott Herbst and Lionsgate Canada Television President Jocelyn Hamilton. Quote, with its Canadian roots, Point Grey is the ideal creative partner for The Littlest Hobo, and Crave is the perfect home for the series to connect with audiences across Canada. Casting, production, and premiere details are set to be announced at a later date. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Okay, now we need someone to give us another Degrassi. And then my cup will be running over. But what great news to start the show. Oh my God, I'm so happy. Uh, more Littlest Hobo. Again, thank you for bringing that news. Uh, Get saucy. My cousin would cry at the intro every time because he thought the hobo would be hit by a car. Oh no! That show particularly resonated with me as a kid, and being a foster kid, and having moved from home to home a lot before I was 9, and moving in and out of home and moving a lot of places. I moved a lot between 0 and 9. That's one of the reasons why when I bought my condo in Ottawa way back when I was in my late late 20s, I had said to myself that I'm going to encrust myself here and you're going to have to get me out of here with a hammer and a chisel. Turns out um, all it required was love. I met my Beaver sweetie, and I moved not only out of the condo, but away from Ottawa. Um, and, uh, uh, and I've moved twice since because well, we lived in an apartment first, and now we live in a house. So me, who had vowed I would never move again, after I bought that, you know, life took me on another path. But yeah, when I watched that show, I always felt really sad, especially when there were shows where he was helping kids, and the kids seemed to really love the Littlest Hobo, and the Littlest Hobo is still, gotta go. I just gotta be me. And I always thought, oh, it's so sad. He just goes around places to places and helping people, and he just wants to be helpful like this. And of course, people are grateful, but that was the thing in my case. People weren't. I just wanted to be helpful too, but people weren't necessarily grateful when I was a kid. Um, but yeah, I always thought that envisioned the little Sobo like a foster kid that was moving from home to home, from place to place, and I always felt sad that um, he didn't find his he on the show he didn't find his forever home. So so yeah, that was I loved the show, but it always made me sad that he didn't have a person. He didn't have a human. And and yeah, yeah, I mean, of course I had my mom, but I didn't get to see her as much or every day or get a hug whenever I needed one because we weren't living together. So I kind of felt like that too. A little bit hobo-ish. Ah, there you go. Let's see. Um, but that's good news. Also, something that made me happy today came from Kit Miss because it is Pride Month, and it seems that I have been sent a queen beaver. Apparently, it's the Canadian Pride beaver, but I just love this. I wanna know where I can get one. I need this. I need this so bad. I want. Gimme, gimme, gimme. That is wonderful. Thank you, Kit Miss, for sharing that with me. And now I'm going to be on a mission to try and see if I can find one for myself, because that is absolutely perfect. All right, kids and cubs. I think I had something else I wanted to start off with today too before we get into some of the main meat, and I did make a note of it. So let's see if I can. Ah, of course. I kind of wish Mr. Grizzly was here for this one because uh, tonight, tonight, dear fans, dear fans of the Canadian Football League, is the season. A rematch of the Eastern Conference Final, featuring the Montreal Alouettes versus the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So that's the first match of the season this year. Trying to see at what time it is scheduled to start. 7:30 Eastern Time, and I believe the match is going to be in Montreal itself. And Mr. Grizzly's beloved Red Blacks won their two preseason matches, both against the Owls. So hopefully that'll be a good season for the Red Blacks, and Mr. Grizzly will have a lot to cheer for this year. And what's also interesting is that the CFL is talking expansion. Yes, finally, it is talking expansion. I hope that it is going to be uh, more than one place, and I'm really hoping Halifax is one because um, I do not think that there is a well, maybe some of the new leagues, the basketball leagues or something like that. I'd have to check, but at least growing up, there was no major sports franchise anywhere in Atlantic Canada, and it sure would be nice to have one. Ties everything together. It would be great to have one in the north too, but that might be a long time coming. However, it appears that a potential candidate might be Quebec City. It says here in a three down nation that positive momentum is building towards CFL expansion in Quebec City, according to a new report. Sylvain Bouchard, a veteran journalist and talk radio personality for FM 93, stated on his show, Bouchard en parle, this week that conversations have been ongoing for over a year regarding the possibility of a CFL stadium in the city, with several. This tentative plan, which has yet to be formalized or presented to the government, would see the construction of a 25,000 seat open air stadium on the Zik. That venue had closed since 2015 and is slated for demolition in 2027, opened up prime real estate beside the Centre Vidéotron, which is a really cool center. That's where I went to go see Depeche Mode in concert a few years ago. It's a pretty nice venue. The cost of this new facility is estimated at $350 million, and it could be completed by 2030. While Bouchard made clear that the idea was a long way from final approval, he indicated that prospective investors have already traveled to Toronto to meet with CFL Commissioner Stuart Johnston and that the league is in the process of vetting them. One source working with the league told the commentator that they had complete confidence that Quebec City expansion would take place. A potential name for the franchise was even floated, L'Attaque de Québec. Ooh, I like that. 3D Nation has reached out to the CFL for comment on the report, but one has not been provided yet. Former CFL Commissioner Randy Ambrosi began to float Quebec City as an alternative expansion destination in 2022 after a proposed Atlantic Schooners franchise fell through in Halifax. No! His successor, Stuart Johnston, has continued to cite it as a possibility despite taking a longer term approach to expansion. Bouchard said he believes that Johnston's interest in the provincial capital is legitimate and that it is his favored destination for expansion. Sources told him that the FL's increased emphasis on bilingual signage and anthems at last year's Grey Cup was meant to signal their desire to the overwhelmingly francophone market after previous criticisms. The commissioner declined to address rumors about Quebec City expansion during an interview with Three Down Nation last week. Quote, I'm not going to comment on any specific files. We've been so pleased with the inbound interest in expansion across the country, multiple locations, and then also from some very interesting individuals who didn't come with a market in mind, but wanted to talk to us about how to get involved with the league, Johnston said. Multiple conversations are going on related to various locations, and if I have something to update, I will do so at the right time. According to Bouchard, Pierre-Carl Pelado, the owner of the Montreal Alouettes and Québécois, the company which operates Centre Vidéotron, is fully in favor of adding another CFL team in the province. So too is Jacques Tanguay, the powerful benefactor behind the Université Laval Rouge et Or football program. In a recent interview, Tanguay said that he and the team would be, quote, the most ardent supporters of a CFL expansion franchise, believing it to be good for the city overall. That has dispelled long-held beliefs that the Rouge et Or would be an obstacle to the project, though Tanguay was adamant that a new stadium would be required. Those interested in the Colisée site project are aiming to resolve that issue by the end of the decade, though Bouchard indicated that there is an appetite to get the team established in the city before the opening of the new building. While Stade Tellis at the PEPS, which is the sports complex at the Université Laval, is insufficient to permanently house a CFL team, both the league and Rouge et Or would reportedly be comfortable with sharing it temporarily for a season or two. Quebec City's existing football fan base has long made it an intriguing destination for the CFL, though previous forays into the market have been met with mixed reviews. A 2015 exhibition game between Montreal and the Ottawa Red Blacks drew just 4,778 fans at Laval. In 2003, a crowd of 10,358 attended a preseason clash between the Alouettes and the Ottawa Renegades. Bouchard believes that fan interest will build with time and that Quebec City has enough wealthy benefactors to make expansion possible. As of yet, nothing is concrete, but talks are trending in the right direction. Okay. Uh, I, I, I would be for that. I'm here all week. Let's see. Uh, let's say a little hello to the kits and cubs looking into the magic monitor. We have Kit Miss with us saying, morning. Well, with you lately, don't stretch yourself too thin. I'm trying not to. I just wanted to make sure that I got at least 5 shows in this week. So, and scheduling and stuff was a little tricky, but I am now on my regular schedule, and I'm on the 4th day of the week doing the 4th show. So I'm back on track. And that makes me happy. I like a little bit of order every now and then. We have Kit Elaine saying good morning. We have Kit Bucky saying good morning and great timing. Yes, indeed, it is. Thank you for being here. Kit Linda M here singing the good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. It's great to stay up late. Good morning to you. And now I feel like I need a Viagra. Ah, I just remember that commercial. Who else do we have with us? Kit Tabby G is here. Good morning to you. We have Kit Laurie. Hello. So nice to see you. We have Kit Uncover, of course, with us. Kit Jillian with us. Good morning, all you lovely people. And is that everyone today? Is that everyone today? Hopefully, I haven't missed anybody. Just take a look. No, I have. Nona Carol is here. Good morning. Who else do we have? Um, no. Kid Hyper T. Hey, how you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. And Kit Cassie. Thank you, Kit Cassie, for the wonderful words you sent me last night. They warm the cockles, and I take them at the heart. When I get kind words, I consider the source, and given how much respect I have for you, I take those compliments. I cherish them. So thank you. Thank you so much. Oh, was it for Cialis and not Viagra? You're right. I think you're right. It was for Cialis. Oh, and Kid Frankie popping in, sliding across the plate. Oh, I should have made a football reference. Diving at the the goal line with the ball for uh, a mention here. So, it's so nice to see all of you. Thank you for stopping in today. Um, all right. Let's get into some stuff. What do we have today? Okay, today we are going to be talking about. I've already forgotten, so I have to go to. I'm having too much fun, so I have to go to Oh, yes, of course. So we are going to talk about um, uh, Prime Minister Mark Carney, uh, as I mentioned yesterday, seeming to be completely unflappable despite all the flapping of the gums coming from stateside. We're going to talk about competition for Canada's submarine contract as it seems to be intensifying. A little bit of news about the wildfire season and the Ebola outbreak. And if we have time, maybe a couple of other stuff. We'll have, of course, some news about some Canadians who make us proud. We already talked about them in the world of tennis, but we're going to continue our little profile of business leaders that were inducted into the Business Hall of Fame that we started yesterday. And who knows what else will pop up during our conversation? You never know. Let's see. Before we start with the Mark Carney stuff, there is one story I wanted to bring to you because we were talking about Doug Ford having a lot of trouble, and I had it on the list, but I had forgotten to mention it in the whole thing. But it seems that there might be, even though Doug Ford is denying that there's an issue, the fact that things have taken a dive for the Ontario Progressive Conservatives in public opinion polling, and I'm going to guess that their internal polling is particularly bad and kind of provoked Doug Ford to take a 21 weeks off, which I absolutely ridiculous. But he must really be hoping that absence helps the mind, heart grow fonder. I have a feeling because Doug Ford did that early on. Remember his first year, I think, was absolutely atrocious, and people just didn't like him, and he disappeared for a while and had a reboot. Gave people time to forget a bit, and people did give him another chance. I have a feeling, however, that the discontent this time around might be a little more baked in. And going away for 21 weeks might not be enough. It might just irritate people a little more. But things are not rosy in inside the organization. According to Colin DeMello and Isaac Callan, a heated confrontation over the rollout of the MPP pension plan and Premier Doug Ford's decision to buy a government jet led to the effective firing of a progressive conservative caucus chair, Global News has learned, a move that has left some feeling silenced. The disagreement took place during a progressive conservative caucus meeting, which typically happens on Tuesdays at Queen Park and acts as a chance for government members to learn details of new policy, advocate for changes, or to vent frustrations directly to those in charge. One of those frustrations, multiple sources told Global News, is over the recent introduction of MPP pension plans, which were unanimously approved by the Ontario legislature after the snap election in 2025. I believe Mike Harris had done away with those, but Doug Ford, who apparently, clearly, seems to uh, love the high life and love bellying up to the trough, I guess he believes that those pensions need to come back. When the plan came into effect, MPPs were expected to contribute to their pension plans and weren't given the option to opt out of the retirement package. Adding to the frustration, MPPs were told that in order to qualify for their maximum annual pension once they retire, they would have to top up their years of service. They could participate in with a buyback program, allowing them to backdate their pensions to when they were first elected and unlocking the full amount. Participation, however, would also mean taking out loans for hundreds of thousands of dollars to pay into their locked in retirement funds. Earlier this year, sources said the government agreed to resolve the issue by spending roughly $35 million to give all 124 MPPs access to a pool of funds to allow them to top up their pensions to recognize their entire term of office. No, 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 no. I'm sorry, no. That is not okay. Taking $35 million of our money to allow MPPs to buy in to a pension plan for the past. No, start the pension plan today. Don't retroactive stuff and then make us pay for it. No, this guy. One source with knowledge of the situation said that in order to activate the funds, the government needed to introduce a regulatory change which would have made the entire scheme public when it was posted to a provincial website. Then came weeks of turbulent polling and blowback. The government's decision to buy a 28.9 million Challenger 650 private jet to let the premier skip commercial flights for travel across North America was made public. Ford apologized for how the issue was communicated and returned the aircraft to Bombardier. Meanwhile, his government quickly pivoted to reminding taxpayers that the province has spent billions of dollars to offer a suite of affordability measures, from housing HST rebates to removing tolls from highways. But not to remove HST off food items, though. If you can buy a house or if you drive a car, you deserve an affordability break. But if you can't make ends meet, you don't. That's what it's like in Doug Ford, Ontario. There's plenty of money if you already have money. There's plenty of money for you. But if you don't, um, well, screw the poors. In early May, as the Ontario PC caucus gathered for its weekly meeting on the second floor of Queen's Park, the two issues collided. MPPs were told that given the blowback over the jet, the Premier would no longer authorize the pension top-up because it would be viewed as enriching each other. Sources said it would have been viewed as enriching each other without the dumbass move on the plane. Name me a place where they establish a pension, yes, and allow you to buy back for past years, which that is okay, but then create a pool of money, taxpayers, that you can take to help cover the top up. There's no, what I was saying the other day about political parties exempting themselves from regular process, and that they can't be trusted to act in our best interests. This is that $35 million move would have been a perfect example of that. Them legislating in a clear conflict of interest way to benefit themselves at our expense. Will Bouma, who served as the chair of the PC caucus, then took on the issue on behalf of colleagues and confronted the premier. Multiple sources said Bouma told Ford directly that MPPs were being negatively affected because of his decision to purchase a jet and that it was a disappointment. Immediately after the caucus meeting ended, sources said Bouma was pulled into a meeting with Premier Ford where he was relieved of his duties as caucus chair. Someone's a little sensitive. The next day, PC MPPs were sent an email informing them of the change. Quote, as of today, MPP Matthew Ray will be serving as chair of caucus. The email read, we would like to thank MPP Bouma for these years of service as chair. While the email made no mention of the caucus battle, some MPPs suggested the move sent a second message that the conversation over pensions had been silenced. Oh. Which it should, let's put it this way, that conversation should have never existed. But this way of doing things, that's really heavy-handed. Doug the Thug here, the mask has fallen. Seems to be a little sensitive. Doesn't like criticism. Well, as we saw with Tyler Watt, right? Got a little criticism about his jet toy plane, and Doug Ford stood up and called him a rookie and accused him of not voting for the HST rebate on housing, which Tyler Watt had to pull a wop canoe and said, I'd like to respond. We know that that's not correct. Although, in Doug Ford's case, I'm going to guess he didn't know because Doug Ford's go-to is to accuse people of things whenever the heat in the kitchen gets a little too much for him to handle. Premier Snowflake melts rather easily and then just breaks out into accusations. And whether they're, I guess Doug Ford never took the time to check voting records. He just assumed that everybody votes against everything that he proposes. And Tyler Watt is, of course, a dirty liberal. So he must have voted against it. And Doug Ford, once again, in the legislature, proving that he smugly and confidently talks about things he knows nothing or very little of. But that's very typical of him. According to Moira Welsh, Robert Bency, and Rob Ferguson, it would their take on this story here might have a little extra information because this is some juicy drama here. Premier Doug Ford fired his hand-picked caucus chair for defending progressive conservative MPPs upset about a new pension plan that could have drained thousands of dollars from their monthly pay. In the recent closed-door meeting of Tory MPPs at which no aides were present, Will Bouma, the MP for Brantford and Brant, told Ford that he should listen to concerns about the high cost of buying back time in a revived pension meant to benefit legislators from all parties. Bouma was relaying concerns from caucus colleagues who felt the pension plan had been poorly explained, leaving many surprised to learn buying in could cost six figures. Those expenses stem from Ford's insistence the plan not rely on government funds, meaning MPPs would have to cover both the employee and employer share. That type of fiscal responsibility didn't square with Ford's recent purchase and panicked sale of a $28.9 million Bombardier Challenger private jet. And when Bouma, who was also the Premier's parliamentary assistant, raised it in a meeting, a chill descended upon the second-floor room at Queen's Park. After the confab ended, the three-term backbencher was relieved of his duties as caucus chair and replaced with Matthew Ray, the MPP for Perth Wellington, according to a dozen Tory sources speaking confidentially in order to discuss internal deliberations. Bouma declined to comment in person to a Star reporter and did not return calls or emails. Ford did not deny the rift, which was first reported by Global News on Tuesday. Quote, Will is a great member. He served 4 years. Now we have Matt Ray in there. Will's traveling in the U.S. with me. He's my parliamentary assistant, the Premier told reporters, referring to an upcoming official trips to governors' meetings in South Carolina and Utah. No wonder he wanted a private jet. Pressed on whether he was mad at Bouma for telling him what he didn't want to hear, Ford replied, We have a tight team, and what we discuss in cabinet and in caucus stays there. Well, clearly it didn't. But eyewitnesses say it was a tense scene as the mild-mannered Bradford area optometrist took on the bombastic premier. Some MPPs said Buma was pushing his luck by chiding Ford for the private jet purchase, first revealed by the Star on April 17th, while members would be saddled with the unexpected costs of a pension plan that requires individuals to also pay the employer's contribution. Quote, his tone and his body language were a little disrespectful to the boss. You don't do that in front of everyone. Hmm. What kind of boss is he? Just saying. Ford listened to Buma, his shoulders hunched, face glowering. Others defended the caucus chair, emphasizing he rightly read the room and was giving voice to their unhappiness. They argued that Buma saw that many were displeased with Ford's ambivalence about what they contend is a badly, and of course, Ford being a nepo baby, he knows where his next 75,000 meals are coming from, so it doesn't matter to him, right? Once his term as premier, whether he has a pension or not, is over, he's going to be fine. So, of course, he doesn't care about people that may have been given up lots of stuff in order to come to be an MPP for a job that doesn't have a pension. And then now that there is going to be one. But the other question is, how generous is that freaking pension? If you have to pay six figures to cover both the employee and employer share after being in the legislature, for maybe 6, 7, or 8 years? How generous is that pension? Jeez. Tory MPPs say they were not properly informed that his pension plan, announced last year, 3 decades after then Premier Mike Harris scrapped the benefit, came with such high costs for those who wanted to buy back the missed employee and employer credits. Depending on years of service, that top-up could mean paying hundreds of thousands of dollars into the plan that took effect on January 1st. MPPs elected prior to that can purchase pension credits to top up the plan as if they had been paying into it all along. Divisions crystallized when several wealthier MPPs rallied to Ford's defense, of course, scolding others for expecting help in covering their employer's side of the pensions cost. Finance Minister Peter Bethenfalvey, who had a successful career on Bay Street and Wall Street, pointed out that the Treasury cupboard is bare, with a projected budget deficit that almost doubled to $13.8 billion between last November and March. Quote, the rich people jumped in and defended Ford, said an MPP, adding many Tories, quote, were very upset Buma was fired for, quote, trying to be supportive. There had been a belief that the government could secure all party support with the New Democrats, Liberals, and Greens for tax dollars to partially top up the employer's side of the pension plan, which is typically how such a system works. But that was never an option, insisted two sources close to Ford. Buma's replacement as PPC caucus chair over the fracas is telling, said New Democrat leader Merritt Stiles. Quote, the premier's own caucus can't stomach that he bought a private luxury jet, said Stiles. It shows you once again that this is a premier who is listening to nobody. Interim Liberal leader John Fraser said Buma is, quote, well respected and liked by MPPs from all parties, which made his ouster a shock. Quote, that's what happens in this government if you speak truth to power, he said. Mm, 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 mm. We have drama, darlings, drama. Yes, Doug. Yes, Doug. Yes. Keep doing that. Keep decisions. Keep letting that temper get to you. Keep being haughty. Keep being arrogant. Keep being the prick we all know you are. Keep on abusing your staff. Yes. Keep it up. And maybe soon you too, like Pierre, will have floor crossers. Way to go, buddy. Bang up job you're doing. um, Speaking of pensions, since we're talking about them, remember that guy from the Conservative Party who embarrassed his party a lot, got the rest of the party mad at him because he decided to grandstand and say that he wants to reject his scheduled pension increase, something that there is no way for anybody to do. Well, it seems, and at that time he said, well, I don't care if it pisses off everyone, because by him doing it, it kind of creates, particularly since he's a conservative, it creates, would go to every other single conservative was elected and saying, well, Mike going to give up is going to refuse his increase. Are you too? And of course, well, self-serving politicians never want to give up a freebie that comes at the expense of taxpayers. Now, do they? Hmm? But nevertheless, he is persisting. According to Jacques Poitras of CBC News, a New Brunswick Conservative MP is going to court in his bid to force the House of Commons to let him refuse an $8,800 per year salary increase. Miramichi Grand Lake MP Mike Dawson was in Fredericton Monday morning to file an affidavit supporting his application for judicial review. He wants the court to quash an April 2026 decision by the Board of Internal Economy, an all-party committee of MPs that makes administrative decisions for the House, that concluded it did not have the jurisdiction to grant Dawson's request. Quote, I'm just an ordinary Canadian that is trying to do the right thing by Canadians, Dawson told CBC News outside the courthouse. It seems to be pushed to the side the way they rejected it, that I couldn't reject the pay raise. The base salary for members of parliament was $208,900 last year and rose to April 1st to $217,700, according to Olivier Duhaime, a spokesperson for House Speaker Francis Scarpellegia. Under federal legislation, MP pay raises are indexed to a formula based on private sector salary hikes. But Dawson says it's wrong to accept an $8,800 raise when many Canadians are struggling with the cost of living. Quote, the way things are going now with Canada, the way the situation is economically, Canadians are struggling, he said. I just think the right thing to do was to reject the pay raise until things get better for Canadians. Dawson first said he wanted to refuse the increase in February. CBC News reported at the time that many of his colleagues in the federal Conservative caucus weren't happy with the gesture and heckled him when he tried to explain himself in a caucus meeting. House of Commons clerk Eric Jantz told Dawson in April that the Board of Internal Economy concluded that it could not allow exceptions to the legislation on pay increases. Quote, to change the regime would require changed legislation, Jantz wrote in an April 20 letter included in the affidavit. Dawson had asked the board to hold an open hearing about his request. Jantz suggests Dawson offset the raise by donating the amount to charity or remitting it to the government by writing a check. Dawson said Monday he had been donating the raise. Quote, it's not the point, he said. I should be allowed to reject the pay raise. If I was working doing drywall for a drywall company, working for somebody else, I'd be allowed to reject the pay raise. Duhaime said the Speaker's office does not comment on correspondence between MPs and the Clerk of the House. A spokesperson for Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre did not respond to a request for comment for CBC News. Gee, I wonder why. Conservative caucus chair Scott Reid did not respond either. It's amazing how the Conservatives, who always have so much to say, suddenly get struck with a case of sudden acute mutism when it comes to being asked questions about how they feel about serving themselves to more of our money. Dawson said it should be up to individual MPs to decide whether they want the raise or not, adding he was not suggesting all of them refuse it. But he also said if Prime Minister Mark Carney were to introduce legislation freezing MP salaries, quote, I think it would go over great with the public. Dawson's affidavit filed Monday includes 14 letters from Canadians across the country praising his stance, which he says represent just a sample of thousands he has received. Quote, kudos to you, a Saskatchewan resident wrote. You are definitely my hero, said another supporter from Alberta. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation, a fiscally conservative lobby group, said Monday it would apply to intervene in Dawson's application. Quote, Canadians are overwhelmingly on Dawson's side, and the CTF is going to make sure their voice is heard in court, Federal Director Franco Terrazzano said in a news release. Now, this could be a genuine thing. Those of us who are a little more cynical might think it's a grandstanding thing for someone who might have designs for a future role in the party. I mean, Poilievre is not exactly shining these days, and some people might be planning for the time when even Poilievre realizes that he needs to go, or somebody just pushes him out as his nails, leave marks in the floorboards of Stornoway. But if Dawson sees that Poilievre is going to go, what better way to build a base for yourself if you intended to run to become the next leader of the Conservative Party of Canada than to take on a fight like this and have yourself build as an actual person of the people, someone who actually sacrificed and didn't want to take the people's money. to serve themselves. That would be a very strategic move. So maybe this is authentic and genuine, or is preparing something for the future, or it could be a little column A and column B. Maybe he is genuinely just this decent, and the decent thing also happens to be something that could serve him well. But pissing off your entire caucus in this way and putting him in a very interesting position, embarrassing position, is not necessarily being a good team player. But then again, we're talking about conservatives, not exactly known for being good team players. As I keep on saying, the only people conservatives hate more than dirty liberals are each other. Doug Ford showed it. Dawson is showing it. And it's really interesting that Pierre has nothing to say about that because he sure did have something to say this morning. Pierre Polyev, again, on his defamation, for all intents and purposes, of Mark Carney, decided to tweet this morning. Well, not this morning. Late last night. Yeah, last night, I guess. It's a meme that says Canada versus Brookfield under Mark Carney. Canada minus 0.06% GDP growth in 365 days. Brookfield plus 16.51% stock growth in 365 days. Pierre saying, don't worry, not everyone is suffering. Oh, I guess the thing did not appear. Let's try that again. There we go. Saying, don't worry, not everybody is suffering. Pierre Polyev, again, trying to create the impression that he knows that the Prime Minister still holds Brookfield stock when even the Prime Minister doesn't know what he holds because everything is in a blind trust. Everything could have been sold. And, of course, being very ill-placed to make that comment because when he says, don't worry, not everyone is suffering, the first thought in my head is, especially not you, right? Stornoway squatter living in the best public housing that the Canadian taxpayer dollar can buy. Right? Not everybody's suffering, right, Pierre? Including you, right, Pierre? He picks a tax that so easily can be turned back on him. The man has no judgment and no discernment. The man has no judgment and no discernment. That's all I can say. Kid Linda. Someone living on our dime in a mansion complete with staff clearly isn't suffering either. Yeah. Speaking of Mark Carney, since we are here, there's a lot going on. He's being goaded, very clearly, being goaded. The Trump the IQ 47 administration is giving us a lot. Right? Pulled out of that defense board. Suggested. What was that thing they suggested? Just popped out of my mind. Dealing with the issue of perhaps a technical recession. Donald Trump and Pete Hoekstra talking about 51st state again. The whole Alberta referendum stuff. And there's probably more, but he's just shrugging it shrugging it off. He is not reacting. He's not becoming emotional with it. Um, Again, the very calm, unflappable. We can only control what we can control, and well, you know, the U.S. and Daniel Smith are going to do what they're going to do. Dealing with people losing their minds because he said Canada strong will help make America great again. However, yeah, just not. We saw his response to Pierre accusing him of being in hiding. Pierre, who himself, once again, an attack that doesn't work for him because Pierre is not adverse to hiding as well. I mean, after he lost his own seat, he went into hiding for 7 days. And after he made that really unfortunate comment and dumb comment about the RCMP in that Northern Perspective interview, he disappeared for another 4. So, I mean, it's not like Pierre has a problem with disappearing when, again, the heat in the kitchen gets a little hot. So why is he criticizing it in others? Rules for thee, but not for me. Yeah, Prime Minister not at all bothered by this and not bothered by the U.S. Making these claims. Oh yeah, the other one was yes, claims that the border issue now is not so much with Mexico, but with Canada. That one went a little bit under the radar, but that was another one that came out here. And then there's yet another thing, but that I'll bring up here. But Campbell McDermott of CBC News says there's an article here says Carney shrugs off Trump's latest 51st state jab as trade talks ramp up. Prime Minister Mark Carney shrugged off U.S. President Donald Trump's latest jab about Canada being the 51st state as a post by, quote, an exceptionally active user of social media. It's only gone up in recent months, Carney said Tuesday of Trump's online posting, and we're not going to respond or react to everything that he posts. Carney, who was speaking at a news conference in Montreal announcing major funding infrastructure investments in Quebec alongside Québec Premier Christine Fréchette, made his comments about Trump in response to a question about U.S. Ambassador to Canada Pete Hoekstra's own online posting. Hoekstra posted to X a screenshot of a post Trump made the day before on his social media platform Truth Social, in which the president said 51st state in response to a Bloomberg article about Canada's economy entering a technical recession. The revival of Trump's interest in annexing his northern neighbor comes as Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc is in Washington, D.C., seeking to renegotiate the Canada-U.S.-Mexico agreement, which comes up for review on July 1st. Speaking in Washington on Tuesday evening, LeBlanc said he was eternally optimistic about securing a renewed trilateral trade deal. Carney would not be drawn on whether Trump's renewed chirping was complicating negotiations. Quote, it's an administration that we have to work with. It's our biggest trading relationship. It's our biggest security relationship, he said. And we work with that administration. We take the administration as it is. And we all know what it is. Hoekstra, an enthusiastic Trump booster, said last year that it was time to move on from the president's 51st state comments. You first, douche face. Oh, sorry. Did that just pop out? Sorry. It's done, he told CBC News in May 2025, suggesting the president had abandoned ideas of annexing Canada. Asked whether it was time for Hoekstra to leave Canada, Carney had a succinct answer. No, he replied. Even though there is a petition going around for that. I'm going to get that plug in a little early. House of Commons petition E7124. Ourcommons.ca. You go there. I'm going to include the link right here for you, Kits and Cubs, in the chat. Boom, 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 boom. Ding. There you go. You sign that petition that calls upon the House of Commons to formally review the conduct of U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra, should the review find that the ambassador's actions are inconsistent with diplomatic protocol or detrimental to Canada's interests, the government of Canada take appropriate diplomatic measures, including the possible request for his recall. Yeah. As I keep on mentioning, we're only going to get a clone if that's the case. And, get more drama from the US. So it's probably best not to. Just let him flap his gums, roll our eyes. But you even have Brian Lilly saying that that move from Hoekstra was really dumb, and that if that's the way he feels he should probably leave. So to get Brian Lilly to say that, what Hoekstra is doing must be really atrocious. That petition has 18,406 signatures, by the way, right now, and is open until June 25th. Remember, if you sign it, you're going to get an email asking you to confirm the petition will be considered to have your signature on it. So that's one of the things that is going on from the United States. Of course, technical recession thing. You know, Mark Carney not too upset about that moment, and there's some analysis from Aaron here that states that Pierre popped up before reporters who were waiting outside a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, and in the span of 10 minutes, the conservative leader managed to use the word recession more than 24 times. Mr. Trump's policies are affecting all G7 countries, and none of them are in recession. Mexico shares a border with the United States. Mexico is not in recession. Only Canada, under Mark Carney's liberal policies, is in a recession. Poilievre responded when one reporter asked whether voters might blame Donald Trump for the recent weakness in Canada's GDP, ignoring the fact that correlation is not causation, and also ignoring the fact that Canada is one of the two countries in the world with the largest trading relationship with the United States. So, whatever they're doing is affecting us a little more intensely than other nations. Quote, France is not in a recession. The UK is not in a recession. Germany is not in a recession. Italy is not in a recession. Japan's not in a recession. Only Canada among G7 countries is in a recession. And only Canada among North American countries is in a recession. Gee, wow. Really? Did you check all the North American countries, Pierre? Or are you just considering Mexico, Canada, and the United States? Because there's a whole bunch of other nations in North America, right? The 7 nations of Central America or North America, all the nations in the Antilles. I wouldn't be surprised if Cuba's in a recession right now. They're in North America. But once again, Pierre's research team lets him down a little. So it seems that the other countries, despite Mr. Trump's unfair tariffs, have been able to craft policies to avoid recession. It's only here, under Mark Carney's policies, that we find ourselves in a recession. If this had been a drinking game, everyone within earshot would have been unfit to drive. Technically, it is only still a technical recession, term of art applied when the economy clears the technical definition of what constitutes a recession, 2 consecutive quarters of negative economic growth. Canada's GDP fell by 1% in the fourth quarter of 2025 and is now estimated to have fallen by 0.1% in the first quarter of 2026. And technically, since we're using the word, it's not 0.1% because, as we just showed you in Pierre's meme, it's actually 0.06%. So it's not. Let's put it this way. I think I saw a tweet that said, never has 0.06% done so much heavy lifting. It's a recession. It's flatlined for all intents and purposes. It's 0.1 if you round up. By the narrowest definition of a recession, that is a recession, but the greater significance of the moment is a matter of both economics and politics. Poilievre has been around long enough to know this is not the first time the technical definition of a recession has become a political matter. After falling by 0.8 in the first quarter of 2015, Canada's GDP fell by 0.5 in the second quarter. That news fell in the middle of a federal election campaign and put Stephen Harper's government on the defensive. Harper, an economist, declined to use the word recession, while a former conservative cabinet minister ventured that Canada was only experiencing a discrete sectoral downturn. Yes, when Pierre Poilievre is in government and the situation happens, it's a discrete sectoral downturn. But when it happens, when the Liberals are in government, it's a Liberal-caused recession. Full-blown recession. By the way, man is just not serious. And once again, his research team lets him down. The Liberals and New Democrats were less forgiving, framing the downturn as a repudiation of Harper's economic agenda, and Harper's fiscal policies would later be said to have, quote, unduly sacrificed economic growth in pursuit of a balanced budget, which is the truth, because unlike Mark Carney, Stephen Harper was advised to not cut stimulus that was needed faster than it needed to be, and he did that anyway. Now, that was out of the 2008 recession, and this is a little later. But Harper didn't. Harper did his own thing and didn't really listen to the economic advice he was getting either back then. Because Harper wanted a balanced budget because he wanted to run on one in that election, and that's the election where he ended up, I believe, selling at a fire sale the GM shares that we had received in exchange for bailing out GM, and sold them at fire sale prices so that he could have a couple $1 billion that he could add to the budget and claim that he balanced the budget. Conservatives are still crowing about Harper having balanced that budget, but a balanced budget only matters in terms of political party wanting to grandstand or spike the football if the surplus it creates is structural. And it wasn't. This one was manufactured via sales of public assets. Speaking to reporters on Tuesday, Carney suggested that some of the weakness in Canada's economic data could be attributed to reductions in government spending and the federal government's moves to curtail immigration. Those two explanations have the benefit of being policy directions that Poilievre broadly supports, but suffice it to say the Conservative leader does not believe fiscal restraint and immigration policy are to blame. Quote, the recession was caused by taxes, anti-development laws, government red tape, and the doubling of the deficit, Poilievre told the House of Commons on Tuesday. At question period on Wednesday, Poilievre asked if the only G20 leader facing recession would please stand up. When the speaker ruled that out of order, Poilievre stood and asked the Prime Minister to clarify whether Canada was experiencing a recession or a technical recession. Quote, this government is putting in place the foundations of an economy that will be stronger, more resilient, and more independent, Carney responded, broadly ignoring the opposition leader's demand. The Conservative leader persisted in asking what kind of recession Canada was in. The Prime Minister persisted in ignoring Poilievre's terms. Eventually, Poilievre tried asking Carney what he would say to specific Canadians who were experiencing hardship, but by then Carney had turned questions over to other members of the government. Poilievre is no doubt eager to tarnish Carney's economic credentials, and at least to begin to chip away at the public support the Prime Minister has accumulated over the past year. According to a recent poll by Abacus Data, 47% of Canadians think the country is headed in the right direction, and 59% approve of the Carney's government performance. A recent public opinion poll by Leger also indicates that if an election were held today, the Liberals would get 50%. Quote, our read of this data is that Canadians increasingly see inflationary pressures and economic uncertainty as being driven externally, particularly by instability emanating from the United States and decisions made by Donald Trump, rather than by domestic policy failures from Ottawa, David Coletto of Abacus wrote in an analysis published before the latest GDP numbers were released. Making the case that Carney, not Trump, is primarily to blame is a challenge for Poilievre, so is the fact that for the Carney government is moving to do some of the things, such as regulatory reform, that Poilievre is calling for. Harper's experience with the technical recession in 2015 might also suggest that simply cutting taxes, spending, and regulation are not quite the economic magic they are sometimes made out to be. But even if this recession proves to be only technical in nature, or even after a revision to the data turns out to not have occurred, there's still obvious cause here for the Carney government to be concerned. The technical recession of 2026 feels like a warning sign that responding to the rupture might not be perfectly easy. Quote, time will ultimately tell, but data on the ground don't have the markings of a true recession in Canada, Robert Kavchik, a senior economist at the Bank of Montreal, wrote in a note last week. Let's not undersell the softness, though. There are legitimate headwinds and structural adjustments dragging down both potential and realized growth in Canada as we head into the summer. As much as Canadians might view Trump as the primary source of trouble, Carney can't take for granted that the support for his government will hold up if economic hardship persists, or if he seems to not understand what some Canadians are experiencing. The foundations that Carney says he's building will presumably need to become more visible at some point. But Carney might at least have the benefit of time. The technical recession of 2015 hit during Harper's 10th year in office, undercutting his claim to have been a steady manager of the national economy. Poilievre would insist that this technical recession is coming after more than a decade of Liberal government, but is also coming just a year into Carney's time as Prime Minister. And with the benefit of a handful of floor crossers from the Conservative side, it might technically be another 3 years before Carney has to put his economic record before voters for judgment. Now, another way that the United States has tried to provoke us is with yet more tariffs. A lot of Trump's tariff wall has been dismantled because most of his tariffs are illegal, and eventually they get found out and deemed to be illegal, and then he has to find a way because he really wants those tariffs, new pretexts in order to introduce some. And well, there's a new one, and once again, Mark Carney, utterly unflappable. Prime Minister Mark Carney says he isn't surprised by the Trump administration's plan to slap import levies on goods allegedly made with forced labor. A report released from the U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer's office on Tuesday listed dozens of countries, including Canada, as having varying degrees of ineffective enforcement rules around goods made with forced labor. The report accused Canada and a handful of other countries of failing to effectively enforce import bans on such items. As a result, the U.S. is proposing a new 10% levy on Canada and others, though the tariff won't apply to goods compliant with Canada-U.S.-Mexico agreement, meaning a large majority of Canada's exports to the U.S. will be exempt. Quote, "This is not a surprise. It's something that the U.S. has been planning for a few months," Carney told reporters Wednesday on Parliament Hill. The latest round of tariffs come after previous levies imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or the IEEPA, was struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court in February. U.S. President Donald Trump has used the IEEPA law to slap tariffs on Canada and Mexico to combat what he called, quote, "a flood of fentanyl coming in from both countries." Trump used the same law to impose his Liberation Day global tariffs. After the Supreme Court ruling, the U.S. president vowed to impose new tariffs using other mechanisms. Trump immediately imposed temporary tariffs under Section 122 of the U.S. Trade Act, but those levies have an expiry date unless Congress approves an extension. In March, Greer launched an investigation into forced labor practices under Section 301 of the U.S. Trade Act of 1974. Tuesday's report was the culmination of that investigation. And they're launching other investigations into other things to be able to create a pretext to slap us with more tariffs. Dozens of other countries will be hit with a higher tariff of 12.5% for having, quote, "failed to impose an importation ban on goods made with forced labor," the report says. Dominic LeBlanc, Canada's minister responsible for Canada-U.S. trade, made an explicit link between the overturning of the IEEPA tariffs and Tuesday's report from Greer's office. Quote, "This does not come as a surprise, as the United States has stated its intention to replace existing baseline global tariffs imposed under Section 122 when they expire in July," the minister wrote on X. Still, Carney said he shared concerns about the importing of goods made with forced labor and that new rules are in the works to strengthen Canada's enforcement regime. The government will propose those rules in the coming weeks, he said. Greer's report came only hours after he met with LeBlanc on Tuesday in Washington. The minister told reporters after Tuesday's meeting that the two shared proposals for the CUSMA review and said he was optimistic about this year's review of the trade deal. CUSMA requires Canada to work with American officials to ensure goods manufactured using forced labor are prohibited in the North American market. Any perceived failures on this front could become issues in this year's mandatory review of the deal. The Americans have accused Canada of being laggards on enforcing the import ban in the past, and there have been reports of goods made with forced labor appearing in the Canadian market. In 2021, CBC's Marketplace probed evidence of forced labor in supply chains for clothing originating from North Korea and tomato products from China's Xinjiang region. The Canadian Ombudsperson for Responsible Enterprise, or CORE, set up under the Trudeau government, has a mandate to crack down on abuses by Canadian corporations abroad for the use of forced labor, among other things. But the office has been without an ombud for nearly a year. Carney said Wednesday that Canada has a, quote, "strong regime to prevent products made with forced labor from entering the country," but he added there are still improvements that could be made. Quote, "We don't want any element of forced labor coming in goods and services, and we want to use our influence to eliminate this practice of forced labor and child labor," the Prime Minister said. Conservative Foreign Affairs critic Michael Chong called the latest U.S. move, quote, "unjustified," but called on the Liberals to do more to address forced labor. Quote, "Prime Minister Carney has been unable to speak clearly on this issue for 6 years. The Liberal government has continually failed to stop products using forced labor from entering Canada. This failure is now putting Canadian jobs at risk. Job and trade at risk," Chong wrote in a post on X. In a statement sent to CBC News, NDP MP Heather McPherson said forced labor is a global concern that Canada has lagged on for decades while other governments have acted. Quote, in 2025, the Carney government had the opportunity to renew a promise to eliminate forced labor from Canadian supply chains, she said. They did not do so, and now they are getting called out on it by Canada's largest trading partner. Party. McPherson said her party will support government efforts to address forced labor, but she has yet to see any real movement from the Liberals to protect the human and labor rights of workers. Now, here's the question that I have. If the United States is entitled to impose these tariffs on us for products with forced labor, are we allowed to do that to the Americans based on the labor that is obtained at a very low cost as a result of the US's infamous school to for-profit prison pipeline? Just wondering. Just wondering. I mean, anything, right? Any pretext is good. Any pretext is good with these people. Goad us. But again, technical recession, well, fewer population, less people, and less government spending. So, yeah, kind of expected that economic activity would go down a little bit, considering all the changes that we made. That it's only 0.06. It's probably not that bad. Carney just not taking the bait, and pardon me, sorry. And on this one, of course, also not taking the bait. He hasn't taken the bait on any of them. Now, another thing that has happened, as you know, the CRTC had made some recommendations that the U.S. didn't respond favorably to. Now, these were recommendations. The federal government has to adopt them. It seems that the federal government is going to take a pass on those, at least for now. According to CBC News, no specific author, the federal government will direct its broadcast and telecommunications regulator to revisit recent decision to triple the funds that streaming services like Netflix must contribute to Canadian content. The Heritage Department said in a statement on Wednesday that the Canadian Radio and Telecommunications Commission, or CRTC's new requirements would, quote, impose costs on streamers, quote, which could ultimately fall on Canadian consumers through higher prices. Quote, this is not the time to raise the cost for Canadians, Prime Minister Mark Carney told reporters after meeting with his cabinet. The government also said it is investing $600 million to, quote, provide stability and immediate support to Canada's audio and audiovisual sectors and to keep our culture accessible and affordable for all Canadians. The Online Streaming Act, which was passed in 2023 under the former Trudeau government, enabled the CRTC to order all streaming companies with at least $25 million in annual Canadian revenue to direct a portion of that towards supporting the creation of Canadian content, including movies, television, and local news. The CRTC initially set that base contribution at 5% of a company's Canadian revenue, but then raised it to 15% last month. Ottawa will now issue a new policy direction to the CRTC to adjust how it is implementing the Online Streaming Act. The law has been listed by the Trump administration as a trade irritant as the two countries review their free trade agreement. The Motion Picture Association, the U.S. group representing streamers, had also called on Cabinet to reconsider its approach. The U.S. ambassador to Canada, Pete Hoekstra, welcomed the decision to review the contribution increase. Quote, American films want to invest in Canada's creative sector, and a fair, non-burdensome framework makes that possible, Hoekstra posted online. Under the Broadcasting Act, Cabinet doesn't have the authority to directly overturn the regulator's decisions, but must instead direct the CRTC on how to broadly implement the Act. In an email to CBC News, the CRTC said it is aware the government will direct the agency to adjust the implementation of the Online Streaming Act. Quote, the CRTC will review any policy directions as they are released, the agency said. Minister of Identity and Culture Mark Miller said he isn't surprised U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer listed the Online Streaming Act as an irritant, but said the industry is suffering financially and needs help. Miller said the government is currently reviewing what its new directive to the CRTC will be and wouldn't provide details, but he said platforms will still be expected to contribute to Canadian content. Quote, "This isn't an absolute removal of any responsibility to contribute to the sector. Far from that," he said. The timing of the review while the U.S. trade negotiations were underway was coincidental, Miller told CBC's Power and Politics. Um, mm, I understand why this is. I don't like it. However, that $600 million that is now going to these, going to the audio and audiovisual sector, basically the amount that the levy would have raised. So they will get the money one way or the other, whether it comes through this increased, what's it called, increased levy, or whether it comes directly for the government. They are not going to be on the hook, and they will be able to get the help that they need. Now, is this something that Mark Carney would like to revisit after the deal is signed and put into place? That could be something, but for now, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, and but the need for the money is seen, and therefore the money will be dispersed as it needs to be. So again, Prime Minister, rather unflappable on that as well. Let's see what we have here. This is abacus data. Wonder why I have that open. Just saying here that the Carney government approval and Liberal lead reach new highs, at least with abacus, which tends to lean conservative as optimism about Canada improves. That's a good thing. The latest wave of abacus data's federal political tracking finds the opinion environment around Prime Minister Mark Carney and the Liberal government continuing to strengthen. Most of this survey was conducted following the announcement on a pipeline between the Prime Minister and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. Government approval has reached a new high. Carney's personal ratings are at their strongest levels yet, and the Liberals now hold a 12-point lead over the Conservatives nationally. At the same time, Canadians are more optimistic about the direction of the country than at any point in more than 8 years. What stands out most in the data is not simply that conditions are improving for the Liberals, but why they are improving. Canadians continue to express deep anxiety about the global environment, Donald Trump, and the state of the world economy. But increasingly, they are not directing that frustration at Ottawa. Instead, many appear to see Carney and the Liberals as a stabilizing force in the face of external volatility. That shift, especially visible on issues like the cost of living, where the Liberals have dramatically narrowed and in some cases erased what was once a major Conservative advantage. Today, 47% of Canadians say the country is headed in the right direction, while 39% say it's on the wrong track. That is the highest right direction score abacus data has recorded since 2017. Views of the broader world remain overwhelmingly pessimistic. Only 13% believe the world is heading in the right direction, while 76% says it's on the wrong track. Views of the United States are similarly bleak, with 14% saying the United States is heading in the right direction and 80% saying it is on the wrong track. The contrast between perceptions of Canada and perceptions of the world has widened steadily since Donald Trump returned to the White House and since Mark Carney became Prime Minister. Canadians appear increasingly anxious about the external events while simultaneously feeling more confident about Canada's trajectory relative to other countries. Optimism about Canada is highest among older Canadians, Atlantic Canadians, British Columbians, and Liberal voters. A majority of those aged 60 and over, 57%, believe the country is headed in the right direction compared to 40% of those aged 30 to 34. Among 2025 Liberal voters, 71% Canada is headed in the right direction. Only 24% of Conservative voters agree. Wow. Let's see. Okay. Oh, sorry. Pardon me. The rising cost of living remains by far the most important issue facing the country. Two-thirds of Canadians, 66%, rank it among the top three issues facing Canada today. The economy follows at 38%, healthcare at 35%, Donald Trump and his administration at 34%, and housing affordability at 32%. What is politically significant is how perceptions of issue management have shifted. Among Canadians who say the cost of living is a top concern, the Liberals now lead the Conservatives by 13 points on vote intention, 45 to 32. Just months ago, affordability was one of the Conservatives' strongest issue environments. When asked which party was able to handle the cost of living, among those who rated it as the top national issue, 37% say the Liberals, compared with 35% who say the Conservatives. The Liberals also hold commanding advantages among those most concerned about Donald Trump and his administration, 56 Liberal to 18 Conservative, healthcare, 45 Liberal to 29 Conservative, and housing affordability, 46 Liberal to 29 Conservative, and job security, 40% Liberal to 36% Conservative. When asked which party is best able to handle Donald Trump, the Liberals are headed almost by 50 points among those who rate it as the top issue. They also lead by 14 on healthcare, 10 on housing, and 3 on the economy. The Conservatives continue to lead on immigration and crime and public safety, but these issue clusters are materially smaller than affordability and economic concerns. Quote, our read of this data is that Canadians increasingly see inflationary pressures and economic uncertainty as being driven externally, particularly by instability emanating from the United States and decisions made by Donald Trump rather than by domestic policy failures from Ottawa. That dynamic has materially changed the political terrain. And here there's some data here. Now I'm going to put it up for us to take a look at. And I do not know where everybody has gone all of a sudden. There you are. Okay, the screen had disappeared. And there I am now. Hopefully I did not disappear all this time. But I don't see anything in the chat telling me, so maybe that's good. Here is the data that you can see for yourself. And I'm going to put it up on the screen if it's not there already. There it comes. Okay, among those who rated the issue in their top 3, and I'm going to see if I can make it here for us. There we go. That might be a little better, hopefully. For those who ranked healthcare among the top 3, 38% believe to 24 for the Conservatives. And as you can see, the numbers for the other parties, 17 for the NDP. The advantage is for the Liberals. The Liberals have a 2-point advantage over the Conservatives on the rising cost of living, 10% on housing affordability and accessibility. The Conservatives have a 32-point lead on crime and public safety. Again, I do not understand why people believe that Conservatives are best on crime and public safety, considering the amount of corruption going on in Conservative parties. But okay, the economy, the Liberals have a 3-point advantage. Climate change and the environment, that advantage actually goes to the Greens over the Liberals by 1 point, 34 to 33. The threat posed by China and Russia, the advantage goes to the Liberals by 18%. Inequality and poverty, the advantage, that's pretty close here. The advantage goes to the Liberals over the NDP here by 3%, 28 to 25. Indigenous reconciliation, that advantage goes to the NDP, 30% to 25 over the Conservatives. Over the Liberals, I should say. I do not understand how the Conservatives can get 23% on being the party best suited to deal with Indigenous reconciliation. Also, the PPC getting 7% there. I'm guessing that those people who are choosing those parties mean when they're talking about dealing with Indigenous reconciliation, and they mean abandoning pretty much all attempts. That's the best way to deal with it, because that's the only way I can explain those numbers. Best on immigration, the Conservatives, for some reason, 60 to 19 over the Liberals. Wow. The Canadian public really hasn't forgiven the Liberals for basically given the premiers what they asked for on immigration here. The rise of artificial intelligence, the Liberals definitely have a 16% advantage over the Conservatives. Probably has something to do with Elon Musk supporting the Republicans and nobody liking Elon. So the Conservatives not being able to be trustworthy here. Dealing with Donald Trump and his administration, it's the Liberals that have a near 50-point lead, 49 over the Conservatives on that. Nobody trusts the Conservatives to deal with Donald Trump. And since Donald Trump is the issue, the Conservatives are going to be in the basement for quite a while. And on job security and unemployment, for some reason, the Conservatives 16 points over the Liberals on that. Again, I can't understand that because the Conservatives, not particularly well known as being a workers' party. Oh well. Yeah, get saucy. There's a hint of racism in those numbers. And get Linda going. Yeah, more than a hint. Get Linda. Oh, it's nice that the NDP won a category. I'm happy that the Greens won one. That's kind of rare to see. Oh, Kit Kat says here, I see they are protesting the data center in Hamilton. Not surprised, considering how much those data centers are going to be taxing resources here. Let's see what else we have here. I believe that might be all I've got with regard to the Prime Minister remaining calm. But I will take another look here at this because there might be a couple of other stories that I've missed. But we're seeing a contrast ship, right? We get a number that's for GDP growth that's 0.06% below, creating a technical recession, though all the other factors that you need for there to be a recession aren't there. I mean, our inflation numbers are good, our credit rating is good, even though the credit rating doesn't really have anything to do with the recession. But I mean, if something happens and we needed to borrow money, we're better off than most other nations in the world in order to do that. And yes, I mean, the Prime Minister needs to be aware, because if people start getting upset that their situation is not improving as fast as they would like, then of course they're going to look at things like this, and maybe some of that messaging will start to stick. But the Prime Minister said, no, there's some reasons for this, whereas Pierre is just immediately going, it's a full-blown recession, and the leader, it's all the leader's fault, despite the fact that it clearly isn't. So yeah, it is good to see the Prime Minister just low-key, not getting too excited about any of this stuff, not taking the Conservative bait, and just saying, hey, we expected that this stuff would happen, and with all the changes that we're making, there's going to be a little volatility. Quarter's going to be up, quarter's going to be down. That's just how it goes. We fully expected this. See if there's any other thing here. Just want to make sure that I am not missing anything. And I think we are good on that one. Just going to give you this additional information with regard to what Mark Carney was doing in Longueuil when he met with the Québec Premier Christine Fréchette. This is from CBC News, and it says that after years of difficult negotiations, Ottawa and Quebec have reached an agreement on how new federal public transit investment will be allocated according to Radio-Canada. Prime Minister Carney and Premier Fréchette are expected to announce the deal in Longueuil on Tuesday. Well, they did. Radio-Canada has learned the agreement with Quebec could be worth nearly $6 billion. It would cover all funding available to Quebec under the Canada Public Transit Fund. Ottawa has long sought to finalize transit funding for Quebec, the only province still excluded from the new federal program, announced in 2024. The fund provides $25 billion in investments across the country over 10 years. Carney wants projects to move forward more quickly across Canada. If you'll excuse me, I have a little something in my throat, so I'm going to get a little Beaver moisture. There we go. Thank you so much. Um, okay. Cover sent me something. I'm going to go check that out after this article because it has to do with Ambassador Doucheface here. Carney wants project to move forward more quickly across Canada. The Quebec government, under former Premier François Legault, has been asking Ottawa to increase its contribution to 40% of the cost of extending Montreal's Blue Line and building Quebec City's tramway. After numerous delays and years behind schedule, the combined cost of the two projects is estimated at $7.6 billion. The federal government has committed $1.9 billion for the metro extension and $1.44 billion for the tramway. Part of the new federal transfers could be used to help complete the two projects. The Canadian governments are also expected to confirm an agreement Tuesday on the Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund, which includes $51 billion in investments across three. That kind of shot up. The value of that agreement was not immediately available. While the fund can support public transit projects, its primary purpose is to fund repairs and upgrades to roads, water mains, and sewer systems. With Quebec municipalities facing an infrastructure maintenance deficit estimated at $50 billion, federal support is expected to help finance many urgently needed projects. And since we're talking about that, it's because this was a pre-announcement article. Let's see what the actual news release, what the announcement actually was. The Prime Minister announced a landmark new partnership between the Government of Canada and the Government of Quebec that will transform communities across the province over the next 10 years. Canada's new government is investing nearly $10 billion in the province through the Build Communities Strong Fund and the Canada Public Transit Fund, marking one of the largest infrastructure investments in Quebec's history. Through the Build Communities Strong Funds, the government will Let's try that again. Through the Build Communities Strong Fund, there was a little tongue twister there for me. The federal government will invest more than $2.5 billion over 10 years to build new and improved homes, post-secondary campuses, and community centers across Quebec. More than $1 billion over 3 years to upgrade and expand hospitals, emergency rooms, urgent care centers, medical schools, and other critical facilities so more Quebecers can get faster health care when they need it. That was a big request to some of these critical care facilities and hospitals. I'm thinking of Maisonneuve-Rosemont in particular, are in particular need of that money. Through the CPTF, that's the Canada Public Transit Fund, more than $6 billion over 10 years to upgrade, build, and modernize public transit infrastructure across Quebec. As part of this program, we are announcing the new Strong Transit Fund to better support provinces and territories, as well as municipalities in delivering major public transit projects. This will fund transformative transit projects, including the Tram-Cité project in Quebec City. This also includes $400 million investment in the Zero Emission Transit Fund to support 11 new projects that will accelerate the electrification of public transit across the province, including the deployment of new electric buses and hundreds of charging stations. See, there's always a green element embedded in everything. Canada's new government is building across the country to assert our sovereignty and create enormous opportunities for every region. Canada is working together in the spirit of cooperative federalism to make this country stronger, fairer, and more prosperous. I think we're going to see Canada is working together in the spirit of cooperative federalism appear in many press releases as the push for the referendum happens in Alberta, and there's musing about it in the province of Quebec prior to their provincial election. Let's see here, some quick facts. Let's see. It says that additionally, Quebec will receive $557 million through the Build Canada Strong Funds community stream in 2026-2027 to support core infrastructure projects across the province, coming to a total of $1.7 billion for the next 3 years. Let's see, what else do we have? I think those are the major wins. Didn't hear much news. Not saying that there isn't any, but I'm surprised that the press release as to how she feels about these. But this will again be a win for her as she's showing that she can get stuff done. Remember, she has a very small window, so any gains that she can get to try to help the CAQ do better in the next provincial election is going to help. Let's see. The Gatineau mayor has actually had some comments, which is kind of interesting on that. So we'll open that up because I'm intrigued by that. Let's see what this says here from Radio Canada International. Any comments there from Fréchette? No, not at all, because it just says holds a news conference and there's that it? Yeah, it's just a one paragraph thing, so that's not going to be very helpful at all. The mayor of Gatineau, Quebec, said she's feeling hopeful about federal support for the city's light rail project after the prime minister mentioned it during a major transit announcement this week. That's what's going on. Okay, I see. Interesting. Carney said in French that the Gatineau tramway is one example of a project that could benefit from this major funding. Gatineau Mayor Maude Marquis-Bissonnette said that gives her hope that the federal government will support the project. She had questioned the support of the province and the governing Coalition Avenir Québec in February when the new Mobilité Infra-Québec MIQ agency took over the project's planning. The MIQ was asked to review the Gatineau project and propose necessary adjustments to ensure implementation within a responsible financial framework. Fréchette's Transport Minister Benoit Charette said last week that the cost of Gatineau's rail project had climbed higher than expected without giving specifics. The MIQ, which is led by former Ottawa Transit General Manager René Amilcar, said financial estimates are still being finalized. Oh boy. Do they really want to go ahead with that one? Because I'm not sure if René Amilcar was the Ottawa Transit General Manager when the O Train thing was happening, but that is being proven to be rather quite a disaster. Not sure that they necessarily got the best person here. Wow. Okay. Talk last decade about improving transit between downtown Ottawa, Gatineau, and Gatineau's growing Elmer community solidified into a light rail plan announced in 2018. That line was to have 30 stations along 26 kilometers of rail with spurs to Ottawa and Gatineau's Plateau neighborhood. The 2018 price tag was $2.1 billion, and the aim was to open it in 2028. More recently, discussions focused on the connection to Ottawa and whether it should run above or below Wellington or Sparks streets. So there you go. Interesting developments there, and no comment that I can tell from Fréchette on this. I'm sure there is one. It's just not obvious. I'm going to take a little aside here. Oh, wait a minute. There we go. I knew I would. The Montréal Gazette, of course, would have the information I was looking for. And it seems that they got on rather well based on this photo. And if you look at the people in the background, it seems that they are rather happy with what is happening here. Come on, computer. What are you doing? Oh, yes. Thank you, Kit Uncover, for mentioning that, what happened. Yeah. I will, given that it's Pride Month, there's something that happened, and yeah, we need to bring some to it. So, but here is everybody involved there with this announcement, and it seems that people were rather happy. Everybody seems lots of smiles there in this photo, and the Prime Minister and Fréchette seem to be getting along rather well. So let's see what this has to say here. Let's see if we have some reaction. Let's see. It says here, Carney has kept infrastructure investments at the center of his political and economic strategy, making faster delivery of major infrastructure projects a priority. Fréchette, meanwhile, who trails in the polls to both the Parti Québécois and Quebec Liberals ahead of a general election in October, has sought greater flexibility over how federal dollars are spent in Quebec and to show she gets wins for the province. Indeed, on Tuesday, she said she did. Quote, "We must get our fair share of federal investments, and today I am pleased to announce that Quebec is getting its fair share," she said, and even more, she added, while respecting our areas of jurisdiction. So that seems to be some good reaction there from, and here we go. A little more information, and it seems that I kind of called it when it comes to the um, hospital funding. It says that the $400 million that is coming from the Zero Emission Public Transit Fund will support 11 projects aimed at electrifying public transportation systems throughout Quebec. That's why I mentioned that one here. And said that the facility is expected to benefit from the $3.6 billion agreement under the Build Community Strong Fund are the Charlemagne Hospital, the Hôtel Dieu de Lévis, the Chicoutimi Hospital, and Montreal's Maisonneuve-Rosemont, whose deteriorating condition has repeatedly drawn public attention. Finally, um, somebody that I dated for a while was a nurse there. And apparently, great work culture, but the building needed some much needed attention. Fréchette emphasized the need to modernize existing infrastructure. Many of Quebec's major public assets were built in the 1960s and 70s and now require substantial investment. Quote, "So we're going to place even more emphasis on the maintenance, upgrading, and modernization of our current infrastructure." She described the work ahead as an enormous task and said Quebec intends to make use of private sector expertise to accelerate delivery. Quote, "It will also allow us to innovate and work with the private sector because it's my intention to leverage the expertise of the private sector to carry out this major project," she said. And she does have an economic background, so she might be able to have the skills to be able to do that. Earlier Tuesday, Carney was asked about the agreements having been unblocked by his government, saying, quote, "We unlocked them." Asked what he meant, the Prime Minister said federal and provincial officials had aligned their priorities and moved quickly to advance projects that had stalled. Quote, "We had a very clear meeting of the minds and priorities," Carney said. The agreements emerged from discussions between governments and municipalities about which projects should move forward first. Quote, "We sat down, we made the priorities, we're going to get on with it," he said. "It's what's good for Quebec and good for Canada." In Longueuil, there were federal, provincial, and municipal leaders, including Quebec Lieutenant Joe Lightbound, Longueuil MP Sherry Romando, Montreal Mayor Soraya Martinez Ferrada, Laval Mayor Stéphane Boyer, and Longueuil Mayor Catherine Fournier. Quote, "This was an agreement waited for many, many years and months now," Martinez Ferrada told the Gazette. The mayor accredited both governments for striking a deal. Quote, "Very happy that the political will of the Prime Minister of Canada and the Premier of Quebec finally reached an agreement that will give the financial support that we need all across Quebec." And if I may interject a moment of contrast here, consider this relationship that the Prime Minister of Canada has with the mayors to the one that Pierre Poilievre wanted to, accusing the mayors of being roadblocks and wanting to punish them personally for housing not being built fast enough. We have a prime minister here who actually respects mayors. Wow, what a refreshing change. Hmm. Um, yep. And then for some reason, um, I don't know, I is speaking to his base, I guess. But the leader of the Parti Québécois, as I mentioned before, the Parti Québécois and the Bloc Québécois are going to try to look at every single possible opportunity to take offense to things. Just saying. Um, uh, Come on, computer. Well, what are you doing today? No, don't do this to me now. Um, Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, um, surprised by this, but he's accusing Mark Carney of trying to undermine support for the sovereignty ahead. Yeah, isn't that what he's supposed to do? Right? What you expect him to help you? The Parti québécois says the federal government is being very generous with Quebec to undermine support for sovereignty ahead of a provincial election that could pave the way for a third referendum. Yeah. Except in the case of being very generous with Quebec, unlike Alberta, he's not rewarding bad behavior. Again, he's going to run in an election. He needs to become the premier in order to enact his promise of having a referendum on sovereignty, yet he is upset that the prime minister is helping with infrastructure in Quebec. How do you sell that to the electorate? No, we don't want the money. We would rather this hospital remain dilapidated because we don't want you trying to undermine support for sovereignty by showing that the federal government is responsive, that the federal government is actually doing its job of asking the people what they need and then providing it for them. Oh my God, what a horrible bastard he is. This is, again, Paul Saint-Pierre Poliev Plamondon. Not a particularly deep thinker, just trying to get through the moment. Poliev got upset with the housing accelerator and refused to allow his MPs to accept money on it, and then expected to win an election without helping his communities. Also did something for the transit fund. Same thing. Here, the Parti Québécois leader apparently objecting to shoring up infrastructure because the money happens to be coming at this particular time from Ottawa. Wow. On Tuesday, Prime Minister Mark Carney and Québec Premier Christine Fréchette were in Longueuil to announce infrastructure funding deals worth nearly $10 billion. The money is intended to modernize public transit and all that kind of stuff we meant. And Mr. Carney described the agreement as, quote, a partnership that will transform communities across the province. But PQ leader Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon cast the funding deals as an effort to weaken support for the sovereigntist movement at a critical moment. Yeah, cope. You're going to have to come up with a better offer. Quote, the federal machine seems very interested in playing a role, or at least is taking an interest in the upcoming Quebec election. Yeah, as it should, he told reporters in Quebec City ahead of Mark Carney's announcement. According to Mr. Saint-Pierre Poliev Plamondon, the announcement fits into a long-standing pattern of favorable treatment from the federal government in response to a sovereignist threat. The abuse decreases, the generosity increases, he said. Oh my God, please save us from federal generosity. I believe we call this loser talk. The PQ leader said Ottawa has taken the same approach in Alberta, where voters will decide in October whether the province should remain in Canada or begin the legal process towards a binding independence referendum. Last month, Mr. Carney signed a long-awaited deal with Alberta Premier Danielle Smith that set out conditions for construction of a new oil pipeline to the west coast. The PQ, leading or tied in most polls, has promised to hold a referendum on independence within a first mandate if it forms government in the next election set for October 5th. But on Tuesday, Mr. Carney denied the timing of the announcement was strategic. Of course he would. That is false, he told reporters. It's not a political calculation at all. Mr. St. Pierre, and of course, the prime minister being on this whole bent of wanting to get projects done, funded, and moving fast, does have that fig leaf of very plausible deniability in this case. But come on. Hey, at the risk of offending Jamel Giovanni, if it happens to work as a twofer, well, What luck. Mr. Say Pierre Poliev Plamondon said charitable treatment from Ottawa could ultimately undermine the momentum of the sovereigntist movement as it sends the message that federalism works. Oh, how horrible that would be. But he added that once the threat of a referendum subsides, so does the federal government's generosity. Quote, when there's no bargaining leverage, Canada disregards Quebec's interests, he said. Mhm. This week's announcement comes after years of negotiations between Quebec and Ottawa on funding from the Canada Public Transit Fund launched in 2024. Quebec is the last province to sign a deal under the federal program, and it will receive roughly $6 billion from the fund over the next 10 years. Mr. Saint-Pierre Plamondon accused Ms. Fréchette of using the agreement to score political points just ahead of the election, saying the governing Coalition Avenir Québec is treating Quebecers, quote, like electoral merchandise. And you're not? You're not using the agreement political points, sir, with this? It's that you pretend to hate in others that which is true about yourself here. But Ms. Fréchette said the deal was about proving her government can deliver. I really wanted to show Quebecers that we can move forward and that we're in step with the priorities, she said. We picked up the pace, and that's what led to today's results. Oh, we're going to have to get le fainting divan. Divan d'évanouissement for Monsieur Saint-Pierre Plamondon. Imagine being upset that your province is getting money for transit and infrastructure. You can't do that. That doesn't help me get Quebec to separate. And Mark Carney's going, I didn't know I was supposed to be doing that. My bad. Oops. Oh, by the way, here's an extra 400 million for green transit. Oh, did I do it again? Particularly in Quebec, who cares about green stuff? Oops. Butterfingers. Look at me just dropping money all over the place. Oops. Right? Right, Linda? Get Linda. You would think someone who wants the best for his province would welcome the opportunity to extort money from the feds to quell separatism. Yeah, he could have spun this the whole other way. Right? He could have criticized Fréchette for not getting enough. The federal government for still not recognizing the needs. The need is much greater. Right? Like if you're being strategic, that's where you'd go. I mean, I understand the angle. Oh yeah, he's giving you money when we're threatening him with separating, but when we stop do that, you're going to see the money dries up. Okay, fair weather prime minister. I get that. Sunny day prime minister. Okay, or prime minister friend only in a crisis. Understand that. That's a line of rhetoric for contrast. But the prime minister's trying to undermine support for sovereignty. Yeah, no effing shit. Oh my God. These people, we need to stop voting for dumb people. Oh my God. Please, Canada, stop voting for dumb people. Please. Oh, okay. More news, les amis. And this is about the submarine contract that Canada has going here. Again, we are being courted, my lovelies, courted rather enthusiastically, it would appear. And there's lots of developments on the deadline for making this decision approaches. And there is an advertisement right now that is taking up 3/4 of my screen. Why would anybody ever do that? That's just dumb. Um, that makes you not want to buy the product. Anyway, weird. Um, let's see here. Just want to make sure that I'm going back in time and getting the first one here because there's been a lot of news on this specifically. All right, so I'm at the bottom of the list. Let's just make sure that I get the first story. It's going to take me a second here to find it. Oh yeah, that was the other. Yeah, okay. Sorry, just yammering to myself there. Here we go. So, May 23rd, Murray Brewster, probably be hearing a lot from him because this is his beat here. The South Korean submarine ROKS Dosan Ak Chan Ho arrived off British Columbia's coast on Saturday in a flashy showcase of Hanwha's Ocean's bid to Canada's multi-billion-dollar submarine contract. The vessel is visiting Victoria and will take part in a joint anti-submarine exercises with the Royal Canadian Navy. The newly built 3,000-ton KSS-3 submarine made the historic 14,000-kilometer trans-Pacific voyage to demonstrate its long-endurance capabilities to Canadian decision-makers. Prime Minister Mark Carney's government is expected to make a decision within weeks on whether to go with the Hanwha Ocean bid or the one by German rival TKMS, or ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems. The Navy is hoping to acquire 12 boats over the next decade and a half, with an eye to using them not only in the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, but also in the Arctic, where they would be required to operate under the ice for extended periods of time. Rear Admiral David Patchell, commander of the Maritime Forces Pacific and Joint Task Force Pacific, told reporters in Victoria that he's thankful to the South Koreans for making the trip to Canada and that he feels, quote, excitement about the Royal Canadian Navy that we are building. When asked how badly Canada needs new submarines, Patchell said, I need them yesterday. We have operated submarines for over 100 years, but we have never been a submarine nation. But with 12 modern submarines, Canada will be a submarine nation. Since the submarines would be built offshore, both companies have submitted detailed proposals of what they can do for the Canadian defense industry. They have signed a series of partnership agreements, in some cases with the same firms, in order to demonstrate their willingness to create Canadian jobs. The initial deadline for submitting proposals was at the beginning of March, but the federal government gave the competitors extra time to refine the economic benefit aspects of their pitches. Both companies have been told to expect a decision by late June, with contract negotiations to follow. The competition between the two rivals has been fierce. The Hanwha group of companies, sorry, let me do that because it's Pride Month. I did that the wrong way. The competition between the two rivals has been fierce. The Hanwha group of companies, which owns the submarine manufacturing subsidiary, recently signed a memorandum of understanding with Canada's Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association, promising to build a suite of armored vehicles in Canada if it wins the submarine bid. It has also signed a memorandum of understanding with Algoma Steel in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, committing up to $345 million to fund a new structural steel beam mill and purchase Algoma products for submarine construction and maintenance infrastructure, as we reported on this show earlier when that news came out. Both plans are based on the notion that Hanwha Ocean wins the submarine contract. In April, Hanwha produced a study that says all of its investments in Canada could create between 15,000 and 22,500 jobs annually through 2044. Both Hanwha and TKMS are committed to building submarine maintenance facilities in Esquimalt, BC, and Halifax to ensure Canada retains sovereign operational control over the fleet. The joint German and Norwegian bid involves pitching Type 212 CD submarine to Canada. The design is an updated version of the Type 212 class of boats already in service with 3 allied navies. The German government has taken the lead and proposed a multi-billion-dollar economic and industrial benefits package, including a broad cross-section of economic investments over 30 years. Some of those plans involve large-scale investments in domestic EV battery production in Canada, as well as funding and infrastructure support for Canadian rare earth mining and resource security. Germany has also floated the idea of potentially buying a Bombardier aircraft for its VIP and early warning fleets. Okay, that is the first one of these stories. And like I said, when they say the competition is fierce, they are not kidding. Let's see where the second one is. Just going through this list here. There we go. 4 days later, also from Murray Brewster. An average of up to 50,000 jobs could be created in Canada over the next 5 years should the federal government opt to buy the German-made Type 212 CD submarine, CBC News has learned. Up until this point in the fierce competition over the Navy's new submarines, both the German and Norwegian governments and the builder, ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems, have been reluctant to reveal strict details of the potential economic benefits that could accrue from the proposal. However, information viewed by CBC News shows the combined impact of investment by both the German government and the shipyard in various projects across the country could deliver an $86 billion boost to Canada's gross domestic product and create over 654,695 job years of employment over the lifetime of the deal. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius referenced the numbers while speaking at the annual defense trade show CanSec, which took place at the end of May. But the information viewed by CBC News shows many of the potential investments could be delivered within the first 2 years following a decision by the Carney government on whether to go with the bid from South Korea's Hanwha Ocean Shipyard, or TKMS, which is based in Kiel, Germany. Both companies submitted bids at the beginning of March, but were given extra time to sharpen their economic proposals and outline how their pitches can boost the Canadian economy and employment. Industrial offsets play a key role in the competition because the Navy's planned 12 submarines are expected to be built offshore. The manufacturer is proposing 2 maintenance facilities be constructed, one on either coast, with blueprints from an existing center that's been established in Norway. The company has also signed teaming agreements with 4 Indigenous development organizations. The information shows another part of the proposal calls for the establishment of manufacturing centers to build heavy torpedoes and anti-torpedo systems, as well as the potential for a facility to test and maybe build hypersonic missiles. The company wants to build the submarine propulsion and batteries in Canada as well. Outside of the military aspects, the German government is proposing major investments in the port of Churchill, Manitoba to help get critical minerals and liquefied natural gas to market. It also wants to establish a carbon capture facility in a joint venture with the province of Alberta. Again, the green element. The federal government is no doubt weighing the geopolitical significance of the decision, said Philippe Lagacé, an associate professor at the Norman Paterson School of International Affairs at Carleton University. Quote, selecting the German-Norwegian boat indicates a deeper commitment to the NATO alliance and an alliance that could solidify mutual defense of the Canadian Arctic, which is something that Canadians are hinging towards and have been considering now for European allies. Lagacé said in reference to the deeper cooperation among Nordic nations, including Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and Germany. Selecting the Korean boat, quote, would lead us to a new type of arrangement in the Indo-Pacific. Competition for the multi-billion-dollar contract has become intense. Last weekend, the South Korean submarine ROKS Dosan Anchan arrived off the BC coast for exercises with the Canadian Navy. The newly built 300-ton KSS-3 submarine is the kind Hanwha Ocean wants to sell Canada. All right. And then yet more developments on the file. Let's see where we are here. And of course, yeah, we had the natural gas thing from the Xylisms project also going to Germany. And of course, negotiating to buy Saab's Global Eye airborne early warning aircraft. That happened, leading people to think that it is pretty much a sure thing that we're going to go ahead with the Gripen, but that maybe we are waiting to make that announcement until after the midterms. One day later, should the Liberal government decide with the ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems bid, the German shipbuilder has now pledged to deliver 4 Type 212 CD submarines to the Canadian Navy by 2036, the country's defense minister tells CBC News. Boris Pistorius said Wednesday that he has every confidence the company will meet the delivery goal, which emerged early on as one of the major competitive differences between TKMS and South Korea's Hanwha Ocean Shipyard. Quote, they say we are able to do so. That's deliverable of the proposal of the offer, Pistorius said in an exclusive interview on the margins of the Ottawa Arms Expo CanSec, put on by the Canadian Association of Defense and Security Industries. Quote, they say they can do that, and I trust them because I have only good experiences with them. They only promise what they can really achieve. Almost from the outset of the competition last year, Hanwha said it could deliver 4 of its KSS-3 submarines to Canada by 2035. The date is important because the Canadian Navy plans to retire all of its current Victoria-class submarines by then. As it stands, only 1 of the 4 existing boats is operational, and the Navy urgently requires replacement. TKMS has been fuzzy on how it could match the timeline, but Pistorius acknowledged that both Germany and Norway, also a partner in the program, have offered to give up 1 boat each from existing orders from their own navies in order to help meet the Canadian demand. The shipbuilder would also then prioritize the next 2 boats for Canada. Pistorius said both Germany and Norway would make up the loss later in the production schedule, and in his view, it's important for Allied solidarity. Quote, "We're absolutely convinced that it is in our joint interest in NATO and between Europe and Canada to strengthen all the capabilities of our Canadian allies," Pistorius said. Quote, "It is about reliability among partners and allies. It's about a joint and mutual perspective on the threats we all have to face together. And this is about focusing on the areas in which the threat is the most relevant and present. And this, of course, for example, the High North, the Arctic, and North Atlantic." Norway's deputy defense minister speaking Thursday said when it comes to submarines, her country is thinking more broadly than its own naval requirements, and it's imperative to bring Canada into the fold. Quote, "Having Canadians on board, even if we had to wait with 1 submarine, we still believe that that would make the whole fleet stronger," Marta Gerhardsen told CBC News. "We are thinking of the submarine fleet not as Norwegian fleet and a German fleet and a Canadian fleet. We're thinking of a common fleet." This week, CBC News had a chance to examine a summary of specific information related to the German submarine pitch. The government in Berlin is looking at a wide range of investments in the Canadian economy, both military projects associated with the submarines and projects outside of defense. For example, the Germans are proposing a partnership with Alberta for a carbon capture facility using TKMS technology. It's also willing to invest in turning the Port of Churchill in Manitoba into a major export hub, especially for liquefied natural gas. On the defense side, TKMS is planning to build submarine maintenance facilities on both coasts, but separately, there are proposals to build a factory to make heavy torpedoes and develop hypersonic missiles. All of this adds up to billions of dollars in investment and possibly tens of thousands of jobs over the decades. South Korea has made similar promises if it gets the contract. What makes this German bid different is that most of the projects it's proposing are front-loaded and can be up and running in 2 years. Hanwha Ocean and South Korea have been slick in their promotion of their bid with a high-profile campaign that included a visit by the brand new KSSS-3 submarine to Victoria last weekend at the time of a writing of this article. Pistorius rejected any suggestion that Germans and Norwegians have been playing catch-up in terms of perception in Canada. Quote, "It's not about how much we do in public promotion," the minister said. "It's not about being there or being here. It's about making clear that we are talking about and discussing a very, very important deal between Canada and TKMS in Germany. It's so crucial, and it's a strategic relevance for NATO as a whole." Prime Minister Mark Carney and Stephen Fuhr, the Secretary of State for Defense Procurement, say both the German and South Korean submarines meet the Navy's requirements, and a decision on which bid to follow will be made within a month. Carney, speaking to reporters Wednesday, said the decision is bigger than just the military requirements. Quote, "Certainly the economic implication, the broad economic benefits are one factor," the Prime Minister said. "Canada is also looking, quote, for a partnership that extends more broadly and strategically," Carney said. A defense analyst, Dave Perry, president of the Canadian Global Affairs Institute, says it's going to be a tough choice because both the German-Norwegian bid and the South Korean pitch bring a lot to the table. He says they've clearly had a different approach in terms of how public and communicative they've been about their bids. Quote, "I think we've sort of seen some evidence that the Canadian government has been really fairly clever and tried to create a highly competitive, really good offer for Canada," Perry said. Glad to hear that. And then there is yet more, if I'm not mistaken. So we got that one, and let's see. I know there's one. Okay, there we go. 2 days after that, both Norway and Germany invoked an all-for-one, one-for-all approach as this week they sharpened their public and private pitches for Canada to select the Type 212 CD as the Navy's next submarine. Both long-standing NATO allies, the 2 European powers are now putting more emphasis on what it means for Arctic and North Atlantic security for 3 nations to operate in the same boat. Quote, "We are thinking of the submarine fleet not as a Norwegian fleet or a German fleet and a Canadian fleet. We're thinking of a common fleet," Marta Gerhardsen, the State Secretary to Norway's Minister of Defense, told CBC News in an interview this week. Canadian Navy is in the market for 12 conventionally powered submarines. The government of Prime Minister Mark Carney is expected to make a decision by the end of June on which proposal to accept a bid by Germany's ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems or South Korea's Hanwha Ocean. Should Canada decide in favor of the Type 212 CD, the combined orders of all three nations would total 24 boats, making it the largest conventional submarine fleet in the world. Everything Gerhardsen said would be interchangeable, from spare parts and supplies to training and even crews. Quote, we would both be cost effective and very, very powerful, said Gerhardsen, who noted if Canada ever faced a threat in the Arctic, having the backing of two other navies with the same boat would be a major military advantage. Quote, if Canada is in need, you're not alone. You have two other countries with a large fleet that will come to the rescue. So it's kind of a really strong insurance. Germany this week revealed that TKMS has the capacity to deliver four Type 212 CDs by 2036. It had until this point been reluctant to commit to a precise timeline. In order to meet the goal, both Norway and Germany had to give up each one of their own boats in the production line, a measure Gerhardsen said the Norwegian Navy can live with as long as the production is made up further down the line. We really, really want to get Canada as a partner in this project, and we want to help Canada out, Gerhardsen said. We know that Canada needs submarines fast, so we looked at the time schedule to see how we could fit Canada in so that they don't have to wait until we finish with our submarines. The decision to give up production slots in the short term is significant, said Jordan Miller, a corporate executive and defense analyst. He added that the absence of a delivery timeline was one of the weakest points in the German-Norwegian pitch. South Korea famously delivers on time, and it delivers with aggressive timelines, said Miller, who noted that ordered from South Korean defense contractors got what they wanted on time and on budget. We know that Poland ordered a series of self-propelled artillery pieces and they arrived on time. We know that the Hanwha proposal for the submarines was also much faster than the competing proposal. So yeah, I think it's fair to assume that TKMS saw that as a relative limitation of the proposal compared to the one that South Korea was putting forward. Miller said, from everything he's seen this week, it's clear that Germans and Norwegians are very, very serious about winning the bid. Hanwha Ocean and South Korea have been slick in their promotion with a high-profile campaign that included a visit by brand new KSS-3 submarine to Victoria last weekend. And I think there is still yet at least one more. Get some cups. Let's see if I got this. Yes, there we go. Yeah, one more, I think. Oh. And then June 1st, it says here, 3 top South Korean officials moved to strengthen Hanwha Ocean's bid to build Canada's new submarine fleet with a reinforced partnership between the shipyard and Canada's Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association and Algoma Steel. Presidential Special Envoy Kang Hook-sik Lee Yung-chul, the Minister of the Defense Acquisition Program Administration, and Moon Shin-hak, the country's Vice Minister of Trade, Industry and Resources, were present at the signing of the partnership at the Martin Ray International in Vaughan, Ontario. All three said the visit underscores the industrial commitment South Korea is prepared to make in the event Hanwha Ocean wins the multi-billion-dollar submarine contract. They revealed the Hanwha Group had signed an additional memorandum with the APMA and Algoma to use Canadian steel in the parts manufacturing of armored vehicles at Martin Ray. This partnership is significant because it seeks to establish a complete Canadian supply chain from raw materials and components to final vehicle production entirely within Canada, said Kang. The Korean government expects this collaboration to continue meaningfully to Canada's industrial sovereignty, economic resilience, national security, and job creation. They also say the agreement further responds to the Government of Canada's call for the contract bidders to support Canada's automotive and steel sectors. The South Korean company has dangled the prospect of an assembly facility for military ground vehicles as part of its industrial benefits. Prime Minister Mark Carney said last week that his government is prepared to decide between the Hanwha bid and a competing proposal from Germany's ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems by the end of the month. The South Korean Navy recently showcased KSS-3 submarine it wants to sell Canada during a port visit in Victoria. The signing of the agreement by such a high-level delegation sends a powerful signal that the Korean government is serious about building real lasting capability here in Canada with Canadian companies, said Flavio Volpe, president of the Auto Parts Manufacturers Association. Our members came ready to discuss practical opportunities, and they are ready to help build the next generation of Canadian defense manufacturing. Volpe added there would be big benefits to Canada's manufacturing sector if the federal government chooses Hanwha to supply the submarines. TKMS, backed by the German and Norwegian governments, is pitching the Type 212 CD submarine, an updated version of the company's existing Type 212 design, which is in service with several allied natives. Both companies had been busy signing partnership agreements in anticipation of the Canadian government's decision. On Friday, TKMS and CAE, the Canadian simulator and training giant, signed an agreement strengthening, oh boy, their existing collaboration. I'm not sure if that. Okay, well, I had heard something about that. I'm trying to remember what it is. It's not coming to me here. Modern naval operations require highly adaptive training environments that evolve alongside emerging threats, said Oliver Burkhard, CEO of TKMS, in a statement. This agreement with CAE represents an important step in strengthening our collaboration and expanding our ability to deliver integrated naval training and simulation solutions. By combining our expertise, we are well positioned to support operational readiness and long-term capability development for naval forces operating in increasingly complex environments. And I believe that that is all of them, if I'm not mistaken. Just take a check here to see if there's more. No, that is all. All right. Kit Uncover said that she sent me something. I'm going to guess that it's probably with regards to Pete Hoekstra. I'm going to see here if that is the case. Come on. You can do it. There we go. Sorry, computer's just being a little temperamental again, taking a long time for things to load up. All right, not being cooperative at all on this. There we go. Oh, I do not see it in my chat, so I might be looking. Oh, well, yeah, of course I'm looking in the wrong place. Ah, man. Okay. Hold on. I was on my personal feed, not the show feed, which explains why it is I couldn't find Kit Uncover's link. But now I am in the right place, so it shouldn't be long now. So long as the computer decides to cooperate, that is, of course. And we wait. Do, 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 do. There we go. Thank you so much. Nope, this is the one. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Stands by Trump's latest on Canada being the 51st state. Okay, well, good for you. You kind of have to. I mean, if you disagree with, you're usually not long in your job, right? So, yeah. Oh, well, we don't need to give him more time than that on this one. But yeah, we're going to do a Canadian that makes us proud and a Canadian that doesn't at the same here, because as you know, it's Pride Month, which means it's also triggered by Rainbows Month, or irrationally triggered by Rainbows Month. And it would appear there was an event at which a youth was invited to speak. And it would appear that when talking about something that a politician had done, um, their how would I put it? Their well, they were censored for all intents and purposes, according to John Dalusong of CBC News. A video that shows Cambridge, Ontario Mayor Jan Liggett interrupting a teenager's speech during a Pride event is making waves. Sophie Mills, who was asked to address Cambridge's Pride flag raising event on Monday at City Hall, told CBC News that what ended up happening, quote, really sucked. Quote, that was my first big opportunity for speaking, and it was scary because I had no control there. I am a teenager, I'm a child, and she is an elected official, Mills said about the mayor. Mills, who uses they, them pronouns, watched a council meeting on October 14th, 2025, and had decided to rewrite part of their speech to comment on how Ward 6 councillor Adam Cooper's controversial Facebook post in January 2025 made them feel. Now, to know what we are talking about, let's see if we can, what that post was about. And since we have the ability to do so, hold on, just I need to close something here, not because our screen seems to have blurred yet again. So sorry for this, kids and cubs. All right, the show feed go. I hate this when this happens. Definitely not helpful, especially with the computer being particularly slow today. All right, there we go. There's the feed. Since we have an opportunity to see who this gentleman is, we will show him to you. But there we go. Finally, my screen appeared. Wow, that took a incredibly long time here. All right. Still taking a long time. I am so sorry for this, kids. I don't know why. The other day, for some reason, the computers just started moving at a crawl's pace. So yeah, Cambridge councillor Adam Cooper, the person in question. Wow, this is painfully slow. I am so sorry about this, kids and cubs. Yeah, Kit Linda saying that's the attractive part of South Korea's bid, plus expanding from Europe into Asia to have a worldwide purchasing connection. But the Norway-Germany unified fleet is also appealing. I don't know how the government's going to make the decision on this one. Same here, actually. And Victoria Mbuko is going to partner with Serena Williams as her doubles partner. Yes. Yes. I was thinking Leilani Fernandez, but no, it's going to be Victoria Mbuko. Even better. So yeah, this is Cambridge councillor Adam Cooper. All right. And what did he do? It says, a meme that was posted on the Facebook page for Cambridge, Ontario councillor Adam Cooper has been met with concern and outrage, including by members of the 2S LGBTQ+ community. The post, which has since been deleted from the councillor's page, shows a person with blue hair screaming towards the camera. He took my pronouns to live in reality now, is written on the image, in reference to an executive order by U.S. President Donald Trump that terminates a range of policies protecting 2S LGBTQ+ rights. Trump says the U.S. will now only recognize two sexes, male and female. The meme caught the attention of Eric Bolton, a musician in Cambridge and co-founder of Grand River Pride, among others. This is from January 2025, by the way. In an interview with CBC News, Bolton said he has come across similar posts over the years. Sometimes you just pass it by, and sometimes you report it, or just unfriend the person, Bolton said. But because this is a city councillor, I chose to comment. Um, and there's quite an exchange here. Eric Bolton said, "Dude, you're a city councillor. You should know better." To which Adam Cooper responded, "Dude, respect others' opinions. Be better than your comment." Yes, because he took my pronouns. I have to live in reality now, is respecting other people's, not even opinions, but just their personhood. Mr. Bolton responded, "You can have your opinions, but you're making jokes about people you're supposed to represent in your district. Also, this week, so many queer people feel scared and uneasy because of decisions south of the border. You're just adding to that. No, I stand by this. Be better." Mr. Cooper responded, "I'll proudly represent reality and those that support it. To each their own. Live as you wish, and I will support you, but I will not support those that wish to legislate others into forcefully supporting their own beliefs. Enjoy your night, Eric. You're publicly bullying a minority, and if you're cool with that, then you should not hold the role you do. Truly, be better and consider the position you hold before you post." Cooper replied, "Bullying? You're entering accusational territory that you need to think twice about entering, Eric. My position is not a weapon for you to use. If you can't handle opposing opinions, then I suggest you either stop throwing accusations or start delivering a sound and legitimate argument that does not make baseless, exaggerated accusations. This conversation is over as far as I'm concerned. Feel free to bring this topic up in person when you see me, and I will be happy to have a mature conversation. I wish you well, Eric, as I always have. I cannot believe how wrong you are, and it's extra unbelievable that you're doubling down. Confirmed, you should not be a counselor. Any further conversation will be with all of Council, Cambridge, Waterloo. Night, night." Mm, mm. And this here is the meme. So clearly, a young trans person. Maybe not even a young trans person in this photo, because we don't know. But just what Mr. Cooper imagines, I guess, a young trans person would look like. Bolton's comments on the meme, anyway, the whole conversation is listed there. Since the interaction, Bolton said his and other comments against the post were deleted. The post is no longer on Cooper's Facebook page. A screenshot of Cooper's post with the meme and comments has gone viral on a Cambridge focused page on the social media site Reddit that criticizes the councillor's meme. The post on Reddit has garnered hundreds of comments and over 1,000 likes. A post on the Grand River Pride Instagram page calls Cooper's meme hate speech and transphobic in nature. How you conduct yourself as a city councillor is important, and how you make the residents of your ward feel is important, said Bolton. Bolton himself posted the meme and exchanged with Cooper on his Facebook story. Bolton told CBC News he has received hundreds of comments and messages of support, including from 3 active council members. CBC News also contacted Cooper for comment on what ensued since the meme was posted. Quote, "I believe in a person's right to have an opinion along with their right to express it without being maliciously targeted for harassment or bullying," the councillor said in an emailed statement. "Furthermore, I maintain that no individual should feel compelled to alter or conceal their views simply because another person demands such a change. Except if you're trans." Because, according to Mr. Cooper, what I'm reading here is that if you're trans, you're not a person. Unfortunately, after I refused to comply with such demands, Mr. Bolton decided that my opinion that there are only 2 genders or sexes was not acceptable to him. No, biology has already decided that, sir. Just saying. Which has led to a deliberate and malicious mob-like attempt by his numerous followers to cancel me, as well as inundate me with a deluge of hateful bullying emails and messages that nobody should ever have to endure. It will not work. Like anybody has to endure a city councillor who's supposed to represent them posting a meme saying, "They stole my like this guy." The self-awareness is not there. The do unto others as you would have done to you. Not connecting here with this guy. I will constantly oppose the bullying tactics of the ideological minority, as well as any attempts to curtail free speech. This is Canada, a country that cherishes liberty, not a regime where opposing views are suppressed. Individuals have no obligation to protect your free speech. Governments do. You're a municipal councillor. You need to protect free speech. Going around and mocking people, ridiculing people. If you want that to be your free speech, yes, but free speech comes with consequences. Free speech is not speech free of consequences. Somebody telling you that what you said is that you've done a douchey thing is admonishment, not persecution. Counselor. In a follow-up interview, Bolton said the point of his post about Cooper's meme was to say he's bullying a minority that he's supposed to represent, so my point very much still stands, and it's very sad that he's not seeing that or wanting to own any sense of that kind of brutish attitude that he was holding towards people he's supposed to represent. The office of the Cambridge Mayor, Jan Liggett, emailed a statement to CBC News that said the implications within the meme have brought distress and pain to families and members of our community. Okay. Remember the mayor saying this. Liggett's statement also said Cooper's post does not represent council nor the corporation's thoughts on gender fluidity. The statement said Liggett tries to keep young people top of mind when she makes decisions, adding, quote, my message is to those young people while recognizing that differences of opinion can still exist. I want us to be known as a community who supports one another. CBC News also reached out to Liggett for comment, but was told by her office that she wasn't immediately available. So Liggett here seeming to take the proper position for a news report that is came out on January 24th, 2025. But about a year and a half later, it would seem that the point of view has perhaps changed. Let's see if I can bring up the video. There it is. There's probably going to be a little commercial here that we have to get through. No, there isn't. Okay. So I will be able to show it to you. This is the moment, and it involves the mayor and a young person, of course, who uses they, them pronouns. Right. Let's see if it's up on the screen. There it is. And here we go.
I have faced transphobia and bullying from peers in school and from adults outside of school. Like when Ward 6 Councillor Adam Cooper shared a transphobic meme. He did not apologize, nor was...
Okay, I'm not allowing the continuous disrespect. No, can you remove that part from your speech? Because he's already gone through what he needs to go through. I don't think it's helpful. I really don't.
I know.
Wow. Wow. What more is there to say? Oh, I've got stuff. Don't worry. But what more is there to say? Really? I'm not going to let you continue. It is disrespectful to bring this up. at this event. It's disrespectful to bring up transphobic behavior of a city councilor at a city event that is supposed to honor and celebrate the rainbow community, which includes people who are transgender or gender fluid, genderqueer, gender bending, two-spirited, non-binary, whatever the term's being used. Because he's already been through what he's been through as a result of this. But he never apologized. He's suffered enough. But the members of the rainbow community who still deserve an apology, so the wound is still there, they clearly haven't suffered enough because the mayor, who a year ago denounced this, believes that the perpetrator of the bullying has suffered enough. Could you please take that out of your speech? Kit Linda, if I were even in the audience, I would have been on my feet yelling to let her speak. Kit Saucy, I am upset that another adult did not speak up to defend her right to speak. Right? Just exactly as happened at that Alberta Next panel thing when Spanky McAllister suggested that a young person should be spanked for daring to ask a question that was a little too inconvenient. Not one adult. Where are the frickin' grown-ups? Where are the freaking grown-ups? Kit Jillian, that was awful. Kit Saucy, if I was that child's mother, oh boy. That's not what a mayor should be doing. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. Kit Linda, it's like silencing a rape victim just because a rapist is in jail. Kit Saucy, we used to celebrate young women who supported what is right. Took a lot of courage for them to speak up. Again. Yeah. That's nasty. It is. It is. Wow. Blows my mind. Blows my mind. Jeez. Mills who use they, them pronouns watched a council meeting on October 14th, 2025 and had decided to rewrite part of their speech to comment on how Ward 6 councillor Adam Cooper's controversial Facebook post in January 2025 made them feel. The post included a meme that showed a person with blue hair screaming towards the camera, "He took my pronouns, I have to live in reality now," was written on the image, alluding to US President Donald Trump's executive order ending many policies protecting 2S LGBTQ+ rights. In the video showing Mills giving a speech, a seated Liggett stands up, walks towards Mill, and pulls the microphone away from them. "Sophie, I'm not going to allow you to continue. This is disrespect," Liggett said, speaking into the microphone. "Can you remove that part from your speech, please?" Cooper has already gone through what he needs to go through, and I don't think it's helpful. In October 2025, Council said Cooper would need to complete sensitivity training after the Integrity Commissioner determined he violated the Council's code of conduct. Kate Bucket. Buchert, CBC News, reports back on October 14th, 2025. Cambridge Integrity Commissioner says a councillor should receive an official reprimand and be docked 10 days' pay over a meme he posted that raised concern and outrage, included by members of the LGBTQ plus community. But it will be up to his fellow councillors as to whether they accept those recommendations. On January 22nd of this year, Councillor Adam Cooper posted, then deleted a meme to his public Facebook page. And then it describes the meme here. That post led to 10 complaints to the city's integrity commissioner, John Mascarin, and Megan Cowan of Aird and Bearless LLP, a Toronto law firm, handled integrity commissioner complaints for the city. In the report going before council in the report going before a council meeting, Mascarin and Cowan, writing as the integrity commissioner, say Cooper denied knowing about the executive order when he posted the meme. Quote, ignorance is not a defense. Quote, while the councillor has defended the meme as a form of political debate that used humor. Oh, funny. Ha ha. To assert a point, we instead have determined that the meme within the Facebook post in the context in which it was posted demeaned a specific group of individuals so as to make them feel secondary or devalued, the report says. As such, the meme set out in the Facebook post did not uphold the code of conduct requirements that members of council conduct themselves at all times with decorum, courtesy, respect, and decency. It noted other members of council, including the mayor, addressed Cooper's post publicly because they perceived it harmed individuals. In her own message to the public, Mayor Jan Liggett wrote, the implications within the meme have brought distress and pain to families and members of our community, which you have decided a year later to add to. Way to go, Mayor. The report also noted Cooper, quote, has not apologized for any harm in his Facebook post and meme have caused. In a statement to CBC News at the time, Cooper defended his actions. Quote, I believe in a person's right to have an opinion along with the right to express it without being maliciously targeted or harassment or bullying. Could you try having a freaking informed opinion? Anybody can have an opinion. Having an informed opinion, however, separates those who think from those who stink. The councillor said in an email statement, in finding, the councillor did not say what I said in a statement. The councillor said, I believe in a person's right to have an opinion along with the right to express it without being maliciously targeted for harassment or bullying. Don't make me take accountability for my own bullying. I'm feeling bullied. In finding Cooper contravened the council's code of conduct, the report makes two recommendations: denounce the actions of the councillor by way of a formal reprimand, suspend the councillor's remuneration for 10 days. The report also notes council can accept our recommendations in full, reject them outright, or accept them in a modified manner. The report raised an additional concern that was included for an educational purpose. The Integrity Commissioner wrote that Cooper obtained legal advice from a law firm that did not charge him for their services. The report said the letterhead from the lawyer representing Cooper was labeled, quote, the Democracy Fund, and the paperwork stated, all of our clients are represented free of charge thanks to the generous support of our donors. Under the city's code of conduct, councillors are not permitted to accept a, quote, fee, advance, gift, or benefit that is connected directly or indirectly with the performance of their duty in office. Wow, what a stellar guy this guy is. Just integrity just oozing right out of him, eh? The Integrity Commissioner notes this detail was added to the report to remind councillors they are not permitted to accept gifts or benefits connected to their role as councillors, quote, including free or discounted legal advice and representation. CBC has reached out to Cooper for comment on the report, but did not receive a response on Monday, which was a holiday. But hey, he loves to share opinions. Why so quiet now, buddy? Don't go discreet now. Wow. We'll see if the article says what a consequence, if any, ultimately was applied. Mill's mother, Julia, shared the City Hall speech video on Instagram, drawing comments of support. CBC News reached out to Liggett's office, and her office said the mayor, quote, appreciates the opportunity to share what transpired and your understanding that she is not able to respond by the outlined deadline. A fulsome response is forthcoming. The mayor has been in council and corporate meetings for the past 2 days and is currently unable to respond. Cooper's meme, which was posted on Facebook on January 22nd, 2025, promptly drew the attention of members of the community who called it hate speech and transphobic. The post was later deleted from the councillor's page. In an email at the time, Liggett told CBC News Yeah, I already read to that. Okay. And then we had the Integrity Commissioner's report, which we read to you. Mills made another speech later Monday. A video shows them at Grand River Pride's separate flag raising event at the Lower Main Street in Cambridge. Mills told CBC News that Liggett had censored them at that earlier event. It was more powerful, Mills said on their second speech. I was able to take my time and have a more meaningful speech because I'm able to have those pauses without being worried that I'm going to get censored and silenced. I was given the space to say my whole speech. Brian Cosrano Bolton, co-founder of the Grand River Pride, reacted to what he saw in the video involving Mills and Liggett by saying, I'm both shocked and not surprised. Shocked because I couldn't believe that the mayor was at it again. I couldn't believe the mayor was taking away somebody's right to freedom of speech, but also not surprised because that's just been the relationship with the mayor's office and the Pride community, he continued. Cosrano Bolton said, so all those nice things she said apparently are just for show, to get through the nanosecond. Cosrano Bolton said Grand River Pride had been, quote, really struggling with the relationship with the city, citing its lack of transparency behind Cooper's reprimand and sensitivity training. Oh, so nobody knows what the consequence ultimately was, it seems. CBC News reached out to the city of Cambridge to confirm details about the sensitivity training, but had not received a response by publication time. CBC News also reached out to Cooper for comment, but he did not receive response. Again, the guy that's all for free speech, the media comes and asks him to speak freely, and all of a sudden, no. It's amazing how brave they are when people can't respond. But when somebody stands up to them, they suddenly lack courage. Kazana Bolton said Grand River Pride would love to be able to continue our relationship with the city, but until we see those changes, until the mayor apologizes for her actions against the community and against Sophie, I just don't know how that would look. Mills believes they don't deserve what happened to them on stage. I have lived here forever. I'm very involved in the community. I've volunteered at City Hall before. I'm part of the Youth Advisory Committee. I help kiddos because I love kiddos, they said. I'm an active member of this community, and this is not the community that I deserve. Sophie, damn right. Damn right, that's not the community you deserve. And thank you for saying it. You are brave, you are courageous, you speak truth to power. You are going to be all right. You are going to evolve into a wonderful, productive human being that is going to contribute a lot to their community and is going to be respected and admired by many. I have every confidence in that. You keep being you and you keep doing what you do because you are on the right path, Sophie. Damn. The kids are all right. The kids are all right. It's the grown-ups that need to unlearn a few things. But the kids are all right. Great future guest. Would love that. I'll actually write to the person who wrote the article and see if they can put us in contact. Wow. Wow. You don't. As an adult, my early words of wisdom, as an adult, you can't ask children to respect adults who do not respect them. What are you teaching when you demand that kids respect adults who clearly do not respect them? Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. All right. Well, I had other things, but thank you because for reminding me. I was going to present it at the end, but I didn't know that there was that much backstory. I thought it was just going to be the clip, and I was just going to talk about that. But no, there was all of that stuff that came before. Wow. Much more important than what I had originally scheduled. So very happy to alter. I can talk about wildfires and Ebola another day. Wow. Incredible. That's I am both mad and proud at the same time. Like half of me is like, how could you? And the other half of me is like, you go, Sophie. At the same time. I'm mixed. I have mixed emotions. My God. Wow. Okay. Kids and Cubs. That's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless. And by the way, Sophie. You did it. You brought your A game. Mm-hmm. You're going to get a lot of opportunities. You're going to get a lot of opportunities. Enjoy what's coming because you earned it. You put in the work. Now you get to reap the rewards. Remember, sharing is caring. So share the content. Help us with the algorithm. Share the content. If you would like to help us, Kids and Cubs, this QR code. Let's try that again. This QR code. Thank you. We'll bring you to our YouTube page where you can click on our buttons like, share, and subscribe if you are not there already. Remember, if you smash early, you don't have to remember to do it before you leave. And, well, it's Pride, so what better time to smash, right? So click on it. Of course, click on the notification bell. I did notice that the notification bell will let you know when something has been up, when something is, I guess, posted, but I don't think it lets you know early, like prior to the show. I think when you see the show, there's a specific bell there that says notify me, and that means that I have to put the link to whatever the next day's show is going to be up earlier so that people can click on it so that they can get notified of the start time, because it seems that notification only comes once something is finished, and I want you to have notification before. That's what I seem to be learning here with regard to that. So there you go. Please click on the bell though, and click all, just in case you miss it live. At least it will show up in your feed and you won't miss the show. Okay. And if you would like to support us in other ways, say financially, because we do incur some costs to bring this show to you, you can scan this QR code, which brings you to our coffee page, where we have the Emergency Hydration Fund. You can make a one-time donation or a recurring donation that you can stop anytime you wish, and that helps keep us going. So buy your favorite Beaver a Pride hot chocolate, if you would like, or Mr. Grizzly, also a Pride hot chocolate, because he's a strong ally and certainly would not object to having a Pride hot chocolate, or maybe a Pride black coffee, which he probably would prefer, because I don't think he's too much into sweets, if I remember correctly. Every little bit helps, particularly since the throttling. So thank you so very much for that. If you would like to support us in other ways, we have memberships, stickers, and super chats on our YouTube channel. And you can also do a direct bank transfer if you're doing the Buy Canadian thing via our email address, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. So thank you so much. If you can't support us financially, you can support us in word by telling us what you think about the show, giving us some compliments or some constructive critique, ideas for guests for the interview project. questions about politics or about the show that you would like us to answer, just send them to us. We would be very happy to hear from you. And also your good news, please, because that helps us as well get through the day. Some days we really need it. Remember our hashtags, kids who cook, kids who craft, kids who cultivate, and you can use them on our socials at True Eager and at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge, and also on the Jitter, where we're a little less present now, but still there, trying to get at least the word out about the shows. You can reach us on our Facebook, which is our original home. You can reach us on the Beaver Bikes Substack. You can reach us on our coffee page. That's at coffee, ko-fi, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word. I had a blank there for a second. At the DamFam Discord, which is run by the fans of the DamFam here. And thank you so much to keep the conversation going. And of course, our Instagram run by Kit Uncover. Because democracy is something that you do, we already showed you one petition ourcommons.ca, petition E7395, which calls upon the House of Commons to stop funding Stornoway as a private residence for the leader of the official opposition. And we have that here, 11,752 signatures for you on that one. So let's keep that one growing. And I know that Linda sent me another petition as well. Kit Tabby G, any idea what time to expect the show tomorrow? I'm going to say, I'm going to try to aim for my regular time, 7:30, 7:45. Of course, the tennis match starts at 6, could go a little longer, but hoping for a match that would finish within an hour and a half or so, and that I'd be able to come there. Now, if it goes 3 sets, it could be a little later. So around the time of this morning or a little earlier probably would be at the time. So I'm going to aim for 7:30 and probably between 7:30 and 8:30, I would say. I'm trying to be back to regular schedule now. Let's see. What else did we have here? Oh, lots of talk about the AI announcement. Wow. Again, so much news coming so fast. Looks, when the Prime Minister said it, I know that the Prime Minister is moving at speeds not seen before because I'm out of breath. Trying to keep up with all the announcements and putting them in shows. So clear, I mean, just my anecdotal experience, but yeah, it's there. The other House of Comment I have is E7340, ourcommons.ca, which is calling upon the House of Commons in Parliament to invoke its authority under Section 53 of the Supreme Court Act to refer the constitutionality of Alberta's Justice Statutes Amendment Act of 2025 to the Supreme Court of Canada, and to direct the Foreign Influence Transparency Commissioner to immediately investigate the meetings between the Alberta Perfidy Project and the Trump administration. And we have a one for you there. There is, boom, the thing. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Kit Linda did one. Let's see. Oh, maybe it came to Blue Sky. Instead, I'm trying to remember where I saw it. I'm sorry, Kit Linda. I'm a little. See, that's the thing with social media, right? When you're on so many platforms, you never know where it came to, or maybe it was on our on the Facebook one as well. But I will look at them all. That's not it either. So let's try Facebook and see if it's there. I'm pretty sure that that's not it. Oh, okay, Linda, I should have made a note of it the first time where it was. I'm so sorry. It if you could put in the chat where it is, where it is you sent it, I will include at the end. Sent it through X. Okay. That's interesting. Maybe it went to the DamFam news chat instead. No, can't find it there. Wow, that's really weird. Maybe it was not through the chat. Maybe it was just through notifications. I cannot find it. That is really weird. Yep, cannot find it at all. Okay, so we'll do the credits thing, and then hopefully I will find it during the credits and be able to show it afterwards, kids and cubs. Because Kit Linda, I cannot seem to find it. I saw it very briefly, and I don't know where it went to. It was already presented in Parliament asking the feds to use their power to disallow the. Oh yes, the power disallowance. Okay, that was the petition that we were promoting on the show that closed earlier. Yes. Okay, I'm familiar with that one. I just it got over 30,000 signatures. Indeed. So that's why you were. I understand now why you were showing. Yes, right. Asking the Parliament to use their power to disallow the Alberta and Saskatchewan anti-trans laws, considering the story. The light's going on. I'm a little slow. Half an hour later in Newfoundland up here, but I'm following you now. Oh man. So yeah, that's what we got for you here. That's the Because Democracy is Something That You Do portion. Words of wisdom, gave them to you a little earlier, so no need to repeat them. So I guess I'm at the point of saying, kids and cubs, it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And at the count of 3, can I please have a Mr. Beaver? Please cue the cock. On 1, on 2, and on 3. Let me hear you loud and proud like it's Pride Month. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff. Even heard somebody out there going, ooh, 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 because, it's not pride unless you're getting down with your bad self. Got to boogie down. And since you asked so nicely, well, your wish is my command. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors. The Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community. And The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music. Oh, come on, don't do this to me again today. There we go. Are you there? Knock, knock. I still see a black screen. Hopefully you're there. Hopefully I'm there. Hopefully you see me. There we go. There you all are. And there I am too. A little bit of Canadians who make us proud, as I promised you. Not that we haven't had enough of them with Sophie and Gabriella Dabrowski here. But we were talking about inductees to the Canadian Business Hall of Fame, the 2026 inductees. And we went through 2 of them yesterday. We'll do 2 of them today here. As a 5th generation leaders of James Richardson and Sons, Hartley T. Richardson and Carolyn A. Richardson Hirsch are revered for their business legacy, entrepreneurial spirit, and commitment to mentoring those who follow. What began as a one-man grain merchandising operation has grown to become one of Canada's most successful and enduring companies with global operations spanning agriculture and food production, energy, insurance, transportation, and real estate. Under the leadership of CEO Hartley T. Richardson, the seventh family member to be president of JRSL and the 169-year-old company, diversified and flourished across essential industries without losing its core identity. As former chair of JRSL's board of directors, Hirsch was vital in leading corporate governance and strategic oversight during a period of rapid growth. Together, Richardson and Hirsch established a multi-generational conference focused on transfer of knowledge and values to ensure the sustainability of the business for future generations. Today, the Winnipeg-based company remains synonymous with its founding values of integrity and trust, as well as business practices underpinning its long-term viability and fiscal success. Hartley and Hirsch are committed to equipping the next generation of their family to grow the business and lead with integrity. They offer a blueprint for how strong leadership and knowledge sharing can sustain and grow organizations well into the future, a principle that aligns with Junior Achievement's mission to empower youth to lead and succeed in an ever-changing economy. The next one, the FGF group of companies is one of the world's fastest growing food manufacturing enterprises. What started with 6 team members, not 16, but 6 team members, has grown to more than 10,000, operating across 35 facilities in Canada and the US. Their success is rooted in strong work ethic, innovation, and a strong sense of purpose. Founding chairman Soham or Sam Ajmera arrived in Canada with just $19 in his pocket, yet sought opportunity. At 22, he launched Dough Delight, his first entrepreneurial endeavor, abiding by the simple but pivotal tenet: pursue something meaningful and commit fully. Soham scaled Dough Delight, manufacturing millions of baked items daily. Inspired by their father's work ethic and entrepreneurial journey, Oyus and Teus Aymera began their own paths in business. In 2004, Soham, Oyus, and Teus co-founded FGF Brands in Toronto, which is now Canada's largest industrial baker and one of the world's fastest-growing producers of bakery and snack foods. Using state-of-the-art technology, FGF defines itself as a tech company that bakes. Their success is grounded in a conviction that doing well and doing good can and must go hand in hand. The Aymeras are also committed philanthropists. Beyond financial investment, they apply business acumen and a focus on innovation and technology to support medical research. Their contributions have helped advance groundbreaking research in transplants, diabetes, and prostate cancer. The rise of FGF Brands demonstrates how hard work and innovation can transform industries. The same spirit is embodied in Junior Achievement programs, which equip youth with the mindset and skills to continuously iterate, innovate, and adapt in response to an ever-changing economy. Oh, well, there's one more left. Let's do this here. A testament to the resilience, drive, and pursuit of prosperity, the 2026 Canadian Business Hall of Fame honorees illuminates how impassioned business ventures extend beyond individual profit. They create lasting socioeconomic impacts, build strong foundations for prosperity, and empower future generations. The inductees stand as powerful reminders of what purposeful leadership can achieve. Together, the stories of the CBHF inductees, that's Canadian Business Hall of Fame, and the mission of Junior Achievement show that Canada's economic future will be shaped by those who pair vision with action and success with commitment to community. And there you go. All the inductees this year of the 2026 Business Fame. And for those who missed yesterday, we have Anthony Van Mandel, founder and chairman of Mark Anthony Group of Companies. We have Chief Terrence Paul of the Membertou First Nation in Cape Breton. We have Hartley T. Richardson and Caroline A. Richardson Hirsch of James Richardson and Sons Limited. And of course, we have Soham Sam Aymera, Oyus and Teus Aymera of FGF Group of Companies. So there you have it, celebrating business from people in business who make us proud and contribute back to the community. All right, kids and cubs, that's all I've got for you. So amour et bisous. See you tomorrow, the same damn time, at the same damn place, with the same damn fam. It's going to be fabulous. All right. Have a beaverific day, everyone. And with that, I am off.